once I tweet out, we get started. Cause that's when people are really gonna be coming in.
Is your camera on? Wait, my camera.
Nah, I can see Nick. I'm not sure why you can't. I'm not sure.
I can't see you though. I can't see you.
You can't see Lyles.
She can't see you.
You can't see me, huh?
Yeah, she can't see you.
It just says Rose against, and then very strange.
You can hear me though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hopefully,
that's really.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear the share screen. I'm looking at the stream on YouTube, and it got all of us on there. That what really matters.
Okay.
So let's as soon as I tweet this out, we'll get rolling. Once again, whatever. If you guys, I got a few things we can talk about here. If you guys have anything specific, feel free to bring it up, man. This is just a free flow conversation.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Yes,
yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah,
okay.
Hey, we got Jackie.
Yeah, I was talking and I was like, why is the little green light not going on when I talk? And then I realized you guys couldn't hear a damn thing I was saying.
Not at all. Just like you're being quiet.
Yeah, now I have no image of Socialist Nick, Socialist MMA Nick.
So, right,
we need nicknames for you too, because
so
two Nicks is weird.
Yeah, that's difficult, huh? All right, let me leave the room and come back in. I don't know because now Jackie and Hamdia can't see. All right, let's try this.
All right.
So what happened? What do y'all see now?
I just see. So
picture.
I can see. Yeah, I just see your picture.
Yeah, the same thing as me.
Oh, now I can see you.
Hey, you're back. Okay.
All right, so that made no sense.
I can see. Yeah.
I have 2 blue dots for you.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Okay, so
I can see you.
Okay, so you guys can see me now. I don't know what happened.
They can see you. It's fine. I'll just be looking at 2 blue dots dancing.
All right, cool. Let me finish tweeting this out and we'll be good to go.
All right. I'm gonna go grab something. I'll be right back.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Cool. Just keep it nice and simple. Stay on live. Let's get some people in here. There we go. My man DJ Elf in here too. Let's go. How you doing, bro? He I'm looking at the YouTube chat.
Oh, is that the dude from last time?
Yeah, I like that dude.
From Wednesday?
He's cool.
Oh yeah. The Yang Dang.
He's toasty. He like Yang too, but I think he's
Oh, okay. Well, you say he was going to the Yang meetings.
Yeah, I thought he was Yang Gang too.
He got his head on the ground. He following all the movements. That's a smart way to do it because I think the future of the left should be taking the ideas of all 3 of those campaigns. And I'm talking about Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, and Andrew Yang. Take all the negative out, but then add the positive and have that in the campaign. Because that's why, like, if I ever ran, that's what I would do. Like, because I like UBI. I have a few criticisms of Andrew Yang's UBI, but I'm like, he like people don't understand. Andrew Yang didn't create UBI. Like UBI had been a progressive idea for a long time. The way he implemented it is more of a libertarian style of implementing UBI, but you can always have a progressive style UBI. Anyway.
Well, the problem I just want to say the problem with like Yang's UBI is that like he also didn't like include other things like like sort of like rent control or ways to subsidize rent publicly or just public housing. So it's just like $1,200 and you're like, or whatever, $1,000 a month and you're like, well, that's just gonna that covers most people's rent maybe, but like it doesn't. That's not. Yeah, depending on the area you live, but that's not really going to work its way into the economy. And then you have to look at the ways that, like, if you just do that $1,000 a month, in what ways is inflation going to eat that over time? If you don't put in things like food subsidies, housing subsidies, in what ways does this get eaten? But
yeah, the problem with Yang's UBI is that he did it in lieu of social safety nets as opposed to in addition.
Yeah,
that was also the other issue. Yeah. It was like instead of being in addition to Social Security, it was like it's like this instead of which is weird.
Which since it's universal, you shouldn't touch the social safety net That's in my opinion, because it's universal. Like everybody's getting 1,000. Poor people obviously need more money. So to me, it was just an attack on poor people.
Yeah,
it's like, here's $1,000, go away. Meanwhile, the rich guy's getting $1,000 too. Like that's not fair.
Right. It's inherently regressive, and I remember Yang Gang people would get mad when you explain that to them. And there was like a rivalry that was trying to form between Yang Gang and Bernie, because Bernie didn't support UBI. He would support a federal jobs guarantee, which I'm like, I don't know why he wouldn't, but Bernie had his issues he wanted to advocate for. And I have a lot of young people, they'd be like, UBI is better than a federal jobs guarantee. And then my response every time they would say that, I'm like, why not both? why not have like why are you guys why are you guys only advocating for one progressive idea? My philosophy is I want to crush, I want to destroy trickle down economics in every single way that we know it. And if you have a UBI that tied in with progressive policy, that destroys the idea of trickle down economics. And I try to explain this to people. That's how progressive economic work. It makes sense on face value. If you give money to the everyday working people, those working people will spend money in businesses locally. When you spend money on businesses locally, they will grow and spend. This is how an economy is supposed to work. So it's crazy how people consider me a far leftist because I understand how markets work. You know what I mean? So if
can you explain that to the Senate? Because I don't think they understand that.
Yeah, I've been getting close to abolish the
Senate. Just vote.
Hey, real quick, you're not Twitch streaming, are you?
No, not yet, because I still gotta learn how to do the dual streaming. I'm gonna set that up here very soon.
Okay.
Because I can stream on one. I can stream on one, but I gotta figure out how to do both, and we're gonna get that figured out.
Do two
simulcast? Yeah. Okay, so once you figure that out, you are set for mine to run when I'm away. So if you're like right now, since I'm not on, if you were simulcasting, then my channel would be playing this.
Yeah, right. I think, and that's why I would love to have, because once again, the idea of this is to spread all our media, because I want to have my goal. I talked about this on the first episode. I would love to have a Black leftist media apparatus where we all grow, we are strong, because there's a concerted effort to silence leftist voices, and that's why I had this idea. And I was talking about it with Savion literally this spring. That's how long I've been thinking about doing this kind of stuff. So it's glad that we was able to get here together. But even because we got someone new here. Because my thing is I want to my plan is to do this every Friday. But you know people's schedule change. Not everyone might be able to make it. So we got Hamdia here. I'm glad she was able to make it.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Thanks
Welcome
for having me.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
I
didn't say hi before because I had no idea how to pronounce your name, so I was just waiting for somebody else to say it.
Yeah, I asked her that before because I'm horrible with names, and that was one of the names I only read. So I think I got it down right now. But I wanted to invite her on because she's been a powerful voice. She's been a strong advocate for our community. I think that's why we get along pretty well, because we're both strong advocates.
I know.
We're both strong advocates for our community, and we don't take bullshit. We don't take bullshit. Nope. And Hamdia, like, I gotta give you props because you're strong. Because you get more shit than me, as a African American Muslim woman speaking truth to power. I see this shit that MAGA
that
gets
Ilhan Jr. going.
Yeah, the MAGA and the right wing go after her in an intense way. So I appreciate your voice. That's why I'm glad to have you on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we should all just take a second to recognize how fierce Hamdia's profile picture is on Twitter, because that's a boss picture. I was like, yo, just so just strong as shit, man. I was like, who are you on that?
That's my mom and Angela Davis looking at me. So
I am super salty.
Pretty cool.
I was like, dang, this is a profile picture, man. I was like, that is clean. I'm jealous.
Right, and you
need to get.
I still can't believe that I got to meet Angela Davis and have
a conversation
with her. I always dreamed about meeting her, and then it happened, and I'm grateful for her. She's done a lot of amazing things in the world.
Yeah, you channel like hardcore Angela Davis energy too. like for real. Like based on everything you post, like there's no holding back, there's no apologies, and that's the kind
goes
of
in.
black progressivism we need. Because I feel like, and this is something that the black leaders has failed us on, because they train us to be subservient to the capitalist class, and and a lot of people don't even
Barack Obama.
realize it. Exactly, Barack Obama, John Lewis, when he said that when police beat us, we supposed to say thank you, sir. Like that shit. Like this is
what?
Fuck that.
Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
That tweet.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I have the tweet saved to my phone.
I'm gonna pull it. Actually, fuck it. I'm gonna pull it up. Let's see if I can find it. Cause this is around the time when I saw that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, I said thank you, sir.
We're taught to act a certain way and to basically just not be apologetic of who we are. Yes. That's what we're taught in some way. But I think that this new generation, we don't hold anything back. Like
like the new generation.
We don't give a shit, basically.
I saw a tweet once that was like, the Zoomers Zoomers mindset is you can't stop us all.
Yeah,
and I was like, yes, I'm here for that.
I feel like Zoomers standing with each other in solidarity much more than other generations have done in the past, and that's why I'm like, man, I'm all about protecting the Zoomers, man. I love what I see out of them. But anyway, this is the tweet I'm talking about. This one right here. He said, "I was beaten bloody."
I did not know about that tweet.
Yeah, this is the tweet that made me start side-eyeing him like a motherfucker. I was being bloodied by the police officers, but I never hated them. I said, thank you for your service.
Now, bro, what?
Now, I want you guys to understand what he's trying to accomplish here, because when politicians tweet shit out like this, it's not by accident. Because the politicians, everything they tweet, all the messaging they put out there, it has a purpose. And so when he put that out there, he's trying to train the young black minds that he has a lot of influence on to love these police officers that are oppressing us, that are killing our neighbors. And I tweet this all the time. I think it's healthy to hate your oppressors. It is. These are the people that we must fight against. And
I mean, they're your oppressors.
Exactly. It's healthy.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
I think that you can love your neighbors, you can love everybody in the world, but when you're being oppressed, I think that you have a right to react in anger, and like you have a right to, your feelings are valid. You don't have to say thank you to your oppressors. Like I think about Malcolm X, how Malcolm X and MLK, they were very different. Malcolm X said, if you put your hands on me, you're getting shit back. Like I'm gonna put my hands on you. But MLK was like, oh well, nonviolent, peaceful protesting, and like they had two different concepts of how to be activists and how to deal with the oppressors. So I just think that's also playing in this generation as well, where we see people who are rioting and then they're getting told like, stop rioting, stop doing that. Like we're not supporting rioting, but people need to understand why people riot.
Yes.
Like nobody wakes up like no one wakes up one day and says, hey, I'm gonna go riot. It's because of social conditions that are making people riot. So how do you expect like black people have been acting very kindly to our oppressors for so long that like now it's like I think people have had enough, and that's why some people are choosing to riot.
Yeah, just like MLK.
Have you guys seen the end of, like, it was right at the beginning of the protest, John Oliver on his show at the very end, because he was like, I'm a white dude, so I don't want to speak on it. So he just showed this video of a black woman talking about that. And she talked about how there's a social contract, except white people have never kept their end of the bargain.
Exactly.
That's a great point. And that's something that MLK said before as well. Rights is the language of the unheard. If you are unheard for a very long time, and this is a concept that MLK understood. And this is a concept that I always try to tell people about as well. Because why is it okay and why is it justifiable for state violence to be a thing? But then you have the civilians that are voicing their concern the only way they know, because once again, the mainstream media, they're not covering our struggle. They're not covering what we're going through. So
Mm-hmm.
I once again when I was at the protest, we didn't advocate for that kind of stuff. And this is one thing that the media does to delegitimize our protest is that they demonize our protest as being all about rioting and all about looting. And there was just a study that just came out that said 97% of the Black Lives Matter protest was peaceful. So then you turn on the media, you got to ask yourself why the media only show one side of it. They only show the rioting, they only show the looting. They don't show the part where we had black seniors, we had black leaders that at the Kansas City protest where they were telling people, they was like, yo, we cannot do all this crazy stuff. We gotta stay peaceful, we gotta stay on messaging. Do the media ever show that part of the protest? No.
Yeah. Well. Buildings on fire. Buildings on fire just are better at selling commercials. You know, that's part of the problem. It's more entertaining to see a city on fire than it is to see black people, you know, expressing themselves in a well communicated fashion. You know, but.
I mean, let's face it. We've never stopped expressing ourselves. We've had music, we've had movies, we've had poems, we've had plenty of opportunities for people to listen, and they don't want to hear it.
Well, and that's kind of the point I'm going to get to. It's just like I talked to, because I was in the military, so I still have like friends who were in or who are out now, but who grew up in conservative areas, who grew up in rural areas. One of my best friends is, you know, he's an independent, probably what used to lean more conservative, isn't a Trump voter, but you know, grew up that way. Just grew up rural Alabama. That's kind of what he knew about the world, right? And so now we have these kind of conversations, and you know, his initial, and he's very open-minded and tries to be objective. But him seeing the buildings where he's like, man, I don't know if I can be down with this sort of property damage. Is like, I understand the message, I understand the point, and I was like, I hear you. I was like, but you gotta remember, this has been going on. I was like, how long has this gone on in the social media age? Since Trayvon Martin, we've all had to watch this, and we've I was like, how many videos, how many times do we need to see another black body on the street, unconscious and dead, before it gets like this? You know, this would have happened if you would have had the proper response a decade ago to police brutality and to crazy civilians like George Zimmerman. You know, if you would do the right thing and hold police officers accountable, then this sort of nonsense wouldn't happen. Where you have people in the streets, you have buildings burning, you have cities burning. This wouldn't have happened if the right if you would have had the right response a decade ago. Exactly.
A decade ago. Ice-T been talking about fuck the police since the 80s.
For real,
since y'all were born, okay?
Yeah, I wasn't alive.
I think that when they talk about also rioting and looting and how black people, the BLM movement is all about looting and rioting, like, do they not understand that white people literally looted a whole race of race of people into this country, made them work for free? They looted Native Americans.
See, why you gotta focus on the past, man? That was a long time ago.
I'm looking to the future.
Meanwhile, today is 9/11. Don't ever forget.
If they want to talk about looting, let's start with the fact that white people looted black people.
They looted
Native Americans. They made them work for free. Yeah. Like, they beat up black people. Let's talk about that. Then the only time that is acceptable when it comes to rioting for them is during football games, when there are literally white men on the streets breaking cars because their team lost a damn game.
This is why we put you on the podcast.
Believe it or not, Hamdia, it's actually because their team won the game.
Yeah, whether they win or lose.
They win. Exactly.
Win or lose, they're rioting.
And they talking about looting. Meanwhile, you got billionaires that increased their wealth by 20% in the middle of a pandemic. You have Jeff Bezos who increased his wealth by $43 billion in the middle of a pandemic, where 54 million Americans cannot feed themselves. They getting richer. Exactly. They talking about looting. Get the fuck out of here.
The real looter is the founder of Amazon. He's becoming a trillionaire. Amazon workers are getting paid $15 an hour. Let's talk about that. That's looting right there.
I swear to you, I'm gonna do a T-shirt that says, "Can I order a guillotine from Amazon?"
That would be classic.
That'd be good. So I read a stat that was like Jeff Bezos could afford to give all 875,000 employees $105,000, and he would be worth exactly the same amount as he was worth at the beginning of this pandemic.
It's a mental
that's
illness.
how much he's increased his wealth by. He give everyone he works for a $105,000 bonus.
Wow.
And he would still be worth exactly the same as he was 6 months ago.
Capitalists are mentally ill because Jeff Bezos at any time can end homelessness. At any given time. There's a funny account on Twitter.
Shit, he could afford the stimulus. He could afford to the first stimulus that went around. He could pay for that himself with the amount of money he made during the pandemic.
Wild.
Did he get a stimulus check too? I bet he did.
he got a corporate. He got a corporate.
Was he part of the bailout? Yeah, you know, there are all these rich people getting bailouts. Meanwhile, 54 million Americans are going hungry. You got people. We got a homeless crisis where 30 million Americans are due to lose their home. So
I saw a tweet where someone said, for $6 a day, you can sponsor an American. The world is literally laughing at us.
Yeah, it's a joke. We lost all our moral high ground.
Exactly. They gave us $1,200 stimulus check, and that's all we got in the last 6 months. Well, Americans are like going hungry, and there are 500,000 Americans that are homeless right now who are sleeping outside every night. We have people that are being evicted from their houses. Where is the government? They're not doing shit. And all of these politicians, they're going back home to their mansions while the American people are struggling. Like, they forgot about us. And this is why, like, we all need to come together to fight against this and strike, because this is unacceptable. In places like Canada, one of my friends, he was talking about how he got $6,000 for a stimulus check. Like, and then in America,
Germany now, right? In Germany, they just I think it was Germany. I hope I didn't get the country wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Germany, where they just announced that they're gonna continue to pay unemployment benefits until next summer. Next summer.
I think that was France.
France. Okay, it may be France. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Look it up.
I know Germany is doing something very similar. I don't know. It may have been France.
The whole world is doing something except for us. We're
a failed state.
At this point, Congress has completely given up on a second stimulus altogether. We should be on our third. Actually, isn't this like the fourth bill, but it's just the second one for people?
Yeah.
So we should be on like at least our third for people, or they could have listened to Bernie in the first damn place and given us all $2,000 UBI.
Yeah.
And Medicare for all, so that people could just go to the doctor. And we'd probably be out of this like other countries are out of it already.
Yeah.
Because if we had testing for everyone, contact tracing, and a UBI so that everybody could stay home for several months, then we wouldn't be rushed into going back out, which created like wave 1.5, because second wave still hasn't come yet. It's not going to come till like probably next month or the month after that. And that's going to be fun when it's wintertime and COVID has hit a new round, and now like everybody is impacted, but the government won't save us. We already know that. Everybody has to go to work. Like, how's that going to look? Like, perfect example, I live in California where dining is outside only. So what the hell are we going to do in November when there's a second round and you can't go outside because it's too damn cold?
Yeah.
And this is the failure.
You can't dine inside.
Yeah, and this is the failure of trickle down economics, because the idea of trickle down economics is that we're supposed to give a big bailout to all these businesses, right? So now what happened was we gave all these bailouts to these businesses, and now we got a lot of businesses who got them bailout in a few weeks, in a few months. They're gonna need even more. They're gonna need another bailout because it's only a matter of time before they run out of the first money that they got in the first try. Now, don't even get me started on the fact that all the small businesses that actually needed the stimulus bailout didn't get any money. We can ignore that part for now, even though that's a big part of the conversation. But all the small businesses that did get it, all the businesses that did get the stimulus money, they're gonna need it here again soon, especially when the second wave hit. And this is why it trickled down.
So what did I miss?
You jumped in at a perfect time, brother. So this is why trickle down economics is a failure, because instead of, if they gave the money, and me and Jackie talked about this before, if they gave the money to the everyday working class people, and we get that $2,000 a month, there is literally no need to ever do another corporate bailout. Because if we get $2,000 a month, we will continue to spend. We will continue to pay our rent. Our landlords will continue to collect their rent so they can pay the banks. Like when you build from the bottom up, the economy will work itself out because we're just heavy spenders. But instead, they gave all the money to corporations who're going to ask for another bailout when the second wave hits again. So once again, we are wasting money, and it's done by design because these people aren't idiots. They know exactly what they're doing. We live in a failed economic system that is designed to boom bust every 10 years. And then they loot the treasury, they get their corporate bailouts every 10 years, and then income inequality grows. Like, this is how the system is designed to work. It's not an accident. So
I honestly think that.
Go ahead, Jackie. Is she there?
Jackie? I think her mic cut off.
Yeah.
Well, Nick and Jackie, I just want to remind you that you're not black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. Just
I'm already getting lighter here.
Yeah. But the what was it about trickle down? You said you made a perfect point that like you could have given the money to the people and kind of worked its way up, but no, you give it to the corporations. And the thing is, like, imagine if you would have this is something that could have been done easily, right? You didn't even need to give people money. All you could have done is you could have just told the Federal Reserve, hey, don't collect any money from the banks. So, because what happens is, like, mortgages, you have to pay your landlord has to pay his mortgage, right? The mortgage gets paid to the bank has to then pay the Federal Reserve, right? If the Federal Reserve either forgave the loans for the period, right, or just put a stay on those loans for 6 months or to 12 months or to whatever the indefinite, if you move your mortgage calculator back a year, let's say you move everyone back 12 months and then no one has to make a payment for 12 months and then they just continue, you move from there. That could have been done easily, but no, we didn't make those choices. Instead, we said, hey, we're just going to keep everything as is, and we're going to allow these businesses and we're going to allow people to go homeless because they don't have rent money because we didn't give them any money and they can't work during a pandemic.
Well, the one good thing is that Trump did actually put forth a rent moratorium. He did it through the CDC, so everybody's good at least to the end of the year. But are you under the mistaken impression? Yeah. So from what I've heard, as long as you make less than $100,000 a year, and you just have to attest that you make less than $100,000 a year, and you can't afford your rent, and you that doesn't stop the payments. So on January you'll still have to pay it.
You still owe them. Yeah, I'm saying those payments should be forgiven. I'm saying those should be forgiven. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But are you under the mistaken impression that like the federal government can touch the Fed? Because it's the Fed that controls the federal government.
I mean, yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm just saying in theory, if things worked properly, if we lived in an actual democracy. Good. Can you guys hear me? Is my mic working?
Yeah, it was echoing for a second, but you're good now.
I'm like echoing for some reason.
When I think about the Federal Reserve and banks and everything, I think about the movie The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. And Mark Wahlberg, his character, does not know what the Federal Reserve is. He's like, we need to lock him up in the Federal Reserve. He's like, do you know what the Federal Reserve is? It's not a prison.
It's where they.
I was trying to. Sarah Palin. Somebody didn't know what the Fed was.
Oh, a lot of people in our government.
Sarah Palin or George Bush.
I realized a long time ago that a lot of people in our government.
Honestly, it's probably both. To be honest,
our government idiots that got to where they are because of nepotism. I came to that conclusion a long time ago.
No, they did.
Yeah.
George Bush literally became president because Dick Cheney wanted him to be president.
Exactly.
Hold on a second, guys. Nick, the echo isn't coming from you. I think it's coming from Hamdia. Because every time somebody talks and we hear the echo, she's lighting up even though she's not saying anything.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Hamdia.
Yeah, do you have headphones?
No, I don't have headphones, but I can mute it while you guys are talking, and then I can just join.
Okay.
Yeah, we figured it out. We were chilling anyways.
Okay.
We should chill. That's all good.
Yeah, I was trying to explain to my dad when they gave like the initial, like when they printed like $3 trillion in the Federal Reserve. I was trying to explain to he was like, well, where'd they get the money? I was like, it's not real, Dad. I was like, you need to understand, like the economy is just like, it's fake. It's not a real thing. He's like, it's promised that it will eventually be paid by the future taxpayers, but that's not. It's like it's it's totally like it's what's the word for it? It's just like it's in the ether. It's ethereal. It's not real.
No, it is. No, it is. It's ethereal. It's just like the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Exactly.
The debt
But
ceiling.
that's
The
what
debt
they
ceiling.
want. That's their number one talking point is, well, we don't want our debt to get higher. We can't have Medicare for all because our debt's gonna go off the roof. It's like, really? Come on. There's no debt. Okay.
The debt ceiling exists only to reduce social services and to argue against them.
Yeah,
that's the only argument.
That's the only reason why.
But we can get what the Pentagon lose like $20 trillion over the course of like a decade, just like in misappropriated funds. It's
out of
gone.
nowhere.
It's just
no idea
not.
where
Just not
21
real.
trillion that they can't find.
$21 trillion gone.
$21 trillion.
Meanwhile,
but-
McDonald's is trying to give you a budgeting guide for how to live on 20 cents an hour.
And the Travis Scott burger.
These people are
And the
asking for
Travis Scott burger.
These people are asking for the guillotines.
I cannot believe they really gave that to their employees. It's like,
And I love
really?
how they conveniently forgot food.
Yeah.
They did.
You eat at McDonald's. Just eat it. Just you sneak it in the back. That's what. Come on. You don't need to eat at home.
Or ever.
You work at a restaurant.
Yeah, man. Eat in the back. Sneak some nuggets and then get
Which
fired.
is a total scam, by the way, because almost all restaurants don't give you free food. They make you pay for it, but you get half off.
That's so weird to me. That's wild.
Like, can we at least get free food? I always find that weird, man. Like, you guys already paying them starvation wages. We can't even get that.
Yeah, man.
But these,
It's a damn shame.
So in actual restaurants, cooks get free food, but front of the house has to pay.
Yeah, no, that's
So what
weird.
you just do is what always inevitably happens, at least before the outbreak. Now everything that comes back is immediately thrown away. Nobody touches anything. But it used to be like, oh, they didn't like it, lunch.
Exactly.
Something came back.
That's true.
It was like, oh, that's cool. I was hungry
All
anyway.
right, throw it in the refrigerator. I'll take it home for dinner.
Well, you can't do that. That violates OSHA rules. You got to eat it right there.
Yeah, but they ain't gonna do that. Come on, not everybody abides by the rules like they're supposed to.
No, that you do, because if you have a surprise, you can't put food that was already served. You can't touch any surfaces. So if you're gonna eat it, you have to go crowd in the back, and then it only takes like 3 minutes for all servers to descend on it, and for it to be completely gone. Oh, don't worry about that. It's gonna be eaten.
Speaking of food services, is it true that like we can pay all the McDonald's workers a living wage, and we only increase the Big Mac by like 50 cents? Isn't it something like that? Like, so it's just pure corporate greed, and this is why that's why I think we need to bring a ruling class to heel. I think we need to destroy trickle down economics, and we need to stop apologizing for how we get that done. And that's why I think the left moving forward, we need to have a progressive UBI and don't apologize for it. We need to have an active, real living wage that adjusted to inflation and don't apologize for it. And that's why I love my homies on Twitter. I can bring in Hamdia back in here because I always walk around like I'm some sort of badass lefty in real life. But at the end of the day, like there are people that constantly outflank me. And I remember I was like, yeah, I think the minimum wage should be at least $20 an hour. And then my girl Hamdia, she was like, the minimum wage should be $30 an hour. I'm like, man, you gotta drag me to the
Didn't you have a tweet where you were like, forget it, I'm mad now, $100 an hour?
Exactly.
I said that.
I was about to tweet that too because I kept saw people bumping it.
The reason why is because I think it was the 70s. In the 1970s, is basically what your $7.25 an hour, $7.25 an hour right now is what you can survive on in the 70s. In the 70s, that was 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Hell, so just imagine for the last 50 years, people can't even survive off of what they make. That's ridiculous.
And the reason why Hamdia dragged me to the left on this because I no longer believe in just a living wage. And I think this is the future of the left. Bernie Sanders did a really good job at opening the Overton window on this issue. I appreciate him doing that. But I think I always talk about post Bernie Sanders left because I think post Bernie Sanders left is something that we really need to focus on. We need to move past him.
Bernie was the compromise, bro.
Exactly. And I think instead of having a living wage, we should have a thriving wage. So that's why I'm like, when Hamdia came out with $30 an hour, I'm like, we can afford it. Why the fuck not? If everyone get paid $30 an hour, we have a thriving wage. We have a thriving middle class at the cost of what? The McDonald's owner can't afford one more yacht a year. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
That's
okay. So one thing that I do want to bring up when we talk about minimum wage is a lot of people have this erroneous notion that when you drop down when you bring up the minimum wage, where the tax bracket is, that's where it is right now. No, the tax bracket that becomes the new minimum. So taxes, you won't get increased taxes because instead of it being $7.25 an hour for the minimum, the numbers get bumped up. So the numbers don't stay the same for the tax bracket. They have to adjust.
Right.
A lot of people are thinking like, oh, on $7.25 an hour, I pay this much in taxes, but $30 an hour, I'd be paying that much in taxes. And I'm like, that's not how this works.
People are so economically illiterate, and it's done on purpose. Go ahead, Hamdia.
But the thing is, like, I believe that we deserve to get paid more.
Amen.
And paying people $7 an hour, that's slavery. That's what I believe in. Like, that is literally a form of slavery. And it's very insulting. First of all, nobody should be working. I believe that no one should be living in poverty. We have enough money in America to help everybody get shelter, food, and clothes, and whatever they need. We have enough money to get health insurance for everybody, but the government is just greedy. So they don't care. I truly believe that the government does not care about the people, because if they did, they wouldn't be insulting us and giving us a one-time stipend for $1,200 during a pandemic where literally people are going hungry, people are not working. So many Americans are unemployed right now, and they're not working. And then to cut the $600 extra that they were giving to people, that's just messed up, you know? So these people are like living lavish while the American working class is struggling.
It's feudalism all over
again. Exactly. And I believe that if you can only afford to pay your employers $7 an hour, please close down your business.
You shouldn't be in business, absolutely.
You should not have a business if you're paying that much.
And
I've actually had a conversation with a guy about this very thing. He was an employer. He had like 2 people that worked for him, and he was like, if you raise the minimum wage, I can't afford to pay my people. I'm like, well, it sounds like you can't afford your business.
Exactly.
Yeah. sounds like your business is barely getting by in the first place, man. If you get
exactly. And I was like, think of it like this, because like I think he worked in steel or something, and I was like, you have to pay for your materials. You can't negotiate on that. When you go to the people, you have like whatever price that wherever your manufacturers are, when you go to them for supplies, you just have to pay that rate. Same thing for your employees. Think of them as a business expense. You just have to pay that rate. $25, $30 an hour. That's the rate you have to pay. And he's like, well, I'm already close to that. And I'm like, then what are you bitching about? What's the problem? If you're already paying them $22, it's just $3 more an hour. Like, it's not even.
And a lot
that was after we got him to accept that that if minimum wage had kept up with inflation, it would be around $25 an hour.
Yeah, and a lot of people are
like,
so
okay, so you recognize you're supposed to be paying that, so do it.
So I grew up. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I grew up in a refugee camp. I wasn't even born in this country. I came here when I was 7. I'm 22 now, and when I lived in the refugee camp, people always told me America is so great. Literally money grows on trees. That's what they used to tell me.
Man,
they
wish.
told us that like you would get free housing, free food, you would get money. I know
they was lying to you. They was there. Yeah, you sure they were talking about Sweden or something, or like
They played with.
They were not talking about here.
They said free housing.
That propaganda
lied to you.
That propaganda is thick. That propaganda is thick.
They played with us. Propaganda, 100%. So when I tell my family, like back home and my cousins, I'm like, you know, people are sleeping outside in America. Like there's literally 500,000 Americans who sleep outside. There's people that don't even go to the hospital because they don't have health care. They are so shook. They're like, wow, in one of the richest countries in the world, people are struggling. I'm like, yeah, we're struggling.
Yeah.
Like, the world literally thinks so much of America, but now, like, people are starting to realize that we have the government is abandoning the people.
Yeah, well, it's because I think it's, and like people have an argument how much tax rate should be, this or that. It's the issue is not how much money the government has, right? The issue is how we prioritize and how we allocate. If we were to prioritize our humans and citizens over the military-industrial complex and foreign wars and and Halliburton and getting people's stock prices higher, then we would be a fantastic country. We have, our revenue as a country, our tax revenue is insane. It's like $5 trillion. You know, we can do it $5-6 trillion every year. An insane amount. We could send everyone to school, send everyone.
We could literally be the Jetsons.
Nick, come on now. How are we going to do that? If we were to cut our Pentagon budget, one of the next 10 countries might almost be able to come close. Like the next 10 countries combined. Yeah. If we just cut it by 10%, like one of them might move up a little bit. I mean, they still can't touch us, but one of them could come, they could inch a little closer.
Yeah.
Like how are we going to protect ourselves / be bullies with less than $7 trillion going towards planes we don't fly and tanks we don't need?
We need to keep building these things.
I mean, the Pentagon only lost $21 trillion
to raise the prices. He wants to raise the amount that they give to the Pentagon.
Yeah,
what?
Joe Biden,
dude, they're barely getting by.
Give them more money,
they're barely getting by. They only bought like how many planes that how many stealth bombers we don't need because most of what we're doing is drones now. So I mean. Now, how are they going to fill up the tank graveyards if we're not consistently buying new tanks that we don't deploy?
Well, you can't stop making the tanks because then those like 12 people who have jobs making tanks won't have jobs anymore. Like what will they do? The 12 people in random Arkansas won't have a tank job anymore. I'm sorry.
Biden
where will they go?
Must maintain small force in Middle East. Has no plans for major defense cuts.
Meanwhile, he doesn't support Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic. And people want to tell me,
if he supported Medicare for all, then what about all the people in history who've died up to now? It's just a direct slap in the face to everybody who's ever died.
He uses his dead son. He uses his dead son to attack Medicare for all. Like how
exactly?
Gross
that's what I'm saying.
Like you're the grossest
person.
Like you had to be the grossest person ever to use your dead family to attack the idea of everyone having health care. Like you're beyond the pale.
The grossest person is Hunter Biden. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, he's pretty slimy. But his son, like he made it seem like, oh, my dead son, like he didn't have health care. You're a freaking senator when he died. He had health care, man.
Yeah, he was an attorney general he was still in the Navy when he died. So yeah, he had health care.
He was the attorney general of the state of Delaware.
Of Delaware, yeah. The attorney general of Delaware, yeah.
He had health care. So that whole argument makes just no sense whatsoever.
My son died of a brain tumor, so no one should have health care. What?
And you hear the story he tells
about
died
of a brain tumor, having the best insurance that you can have in the United States,
and
he didn't have to pay for.
And he told the story.
We can't give that. Yeah.
And he told the story
and his kids and his family had that as well.
Exactly.
And I'm a senator. My whole family has that same plan as well. So
wild.
I don't want anyone else to have that. I don't want anyone else to have that great plan that I have.
We got to keep the health insurance attached to the employment so that people continue to be economically anxious and they have to stay tied to their jobs. So we got to have that. We got that going for us.
Yeah, and to say that when there's record levels of unemployment during a pandemic, that takes some balls. Hey, can't wait to push this guy left.
Dude, it's so crazy. Like if Joe Biden would just say, you know what, I see the benefits for Medicare for all, I'd probably like suck it up and go vote for him, even though I would assume he's lying to me. Even though I would know he's probably not going to pass it, I could at least like stomach it and go, "There's a chance."
Yeah, at least
but like the fact that
honestly, there's a better chance
there's
that
no
Trump
chance
passes
whatsoever.
because Trump was almost pushed to do it at the
Exactly.
beginning of the pandemic. He
Popular.
didn't say
Yeah.
Medicare for all, but
Yeah.
he's like, I think we should, I don't know, maybe expand Medicare for everybody. And I'm like, that's Medicare for all. That's what that is.
It's like, well, Medicare for everybody, huh? Anybody ever thought of that?
If Trump,
maybe
Trump,
we could just like expand it and give it to like, I don't know, all the people.
dude, honestly, think, like Trump
is more of a populist than people think.
Yeah,
look at what he's been saying.
Trump is a puppet though. Like if it wasn't for the fact that he was an actual puppet of the Republican Party, I think he would fall through on this because a lot of times when Trump speaks, he speaks off the cuff and he's talking about stuff that he really feels about. So when he says that he want to cover all Americans, I literally think he wants to do that. But at the end of the day, he cared more about his power, and I think his advisors always get to him. He's like, let's just cover everyone in the middle of the pandemic. Then his advisors like, oh no.
Here's the thing about Trump.
Steve Mnuchin gets to him all the time. Yeah, he does. Absolutely.
But here's the thing: he's a narcissist above all, right? So right now, why do you think he did the writ moratorium? Because he saw Congress wasn't going to do shit. Because Congress is playing political football. Like, well, if we don't do anything and everything falls apart right before the election, Trump won't win.
Yeah.
So that's why he's like, all right, Trump card. Literally, get it? Ha. Anyway,
mad pun.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna do like if this continues to get worse, especially if the second wave starts right before the election. Watch him give everybody Medicare for all. He will put it in executive order, just like he did the 300.
What if they waiting?
He gives no shits whether or not he can.
Yeah,
he just will.
Like, Trump is such a moron. I say this all the time, but it's like, man, you could have locked this election up so easy because you remember when he did the first stimulus and then I was pissed. Like A1 on Rose Twitter was pissed because we like, you guys are giving us crumbs. But people who don't follow politics for a living, there was the whole Trump bucks that went on. Everyone was like, yo, Trump is giving us money. Trump is giving us money, bruh. And I'm like, you niggas are idiots. But at the same time, imagine if he actually, like, he don't even have to do what Bernie did. Imagine if he just did $1,000 a month every month in the pandemic. He will be landsliding.
Oh my, absolutely, dude. You gotta think about that.
He's
like,
an idiot.
I mean, because as much as like libs like hate Trump, right? It's hard to talk shit about somebody when you see that direct deposit coming. And with that 1,200 was sitting there, I said, hey man, it is what it is.
I bought a gun with my money. I bought a
bike. I bought a bike. It's in the garage. I bought a great road bike. So
I bought a capitalist and kept that shit in the bank.
See that? Hey, listen, but like this, but this is what happens when you actually like approach people's material interests and you actually like help their material interests in a way. Like it's hard for people to deny that. Politics wants to stay so like esoteric and so like ethereal, like oh, it's all personality and persona. Because like if they actually had to prioritize people, they would and actually had to give people needs. Like that would be if we reframed the conversation about like what are you giving me, and that's what we as leftists try to do. Like what are you giving me? They would have to come up with answers, and then they would have to try to outdo each other. Well, I'm going to give everyone Medicare for all. Well, I'm going to give everyone I'm going to give Medicare for all and pay off student loan debt. Imagine if that was the conversation we have about trying to beat each other to the left, as opposed to who's going to give police departments more money.
Yes.
They are having that conversation. Comedy Nick. By the way, that's your new nickname.
Comedy Nick. All right, cool.
There are two Nicks. We need somebody.
All right,
they are having that conversation. Biden is saying, "I'm not Trump," and Trump is saying, "I'm not Biden."
That's literally all it is.
That's what they're giving us.
That's literally all they're doing right now.
They're running a
if you watch
both
the RNC and the DNC, if you watch both of them, that's literally what it was like the whole time. Biden's America, Trump's America. That's literally what you're dealing with.
They fight for the sub.
The funny thing is, Trump's America is actually Biden's America because Trump is reacting to what Biden did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Through the bills that he's passed as a senator, through the things that he did as VP for 8 years, Trump's dealing with the aftermath of the Obama-Biden administration and of Biden's 40 years as a senator.
Yeah.
So technically, it's always been Biden's America because Trump's only been in office for 3 years. We're not going to see the end result of this for another few years.
I just
we see what the 93 crime bill did. Yeah, now. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people don't understand that. Like, you don't see it in real time. The bills that pass, you don't get the effect of that until long after that president's in office.
Yeah,
and that's why
liberals long after that president has left office.
And that's why liberals hate.
And then you're like, oh wow, maybe we should have thrown like every black man in jail from ages like 20 to 30 and like had them not be with their families. Maybe that wasn't a good idea for like
and how
black,
you gonna
the black
have
community.
modern slavery? Who's gonna fight the fires in California?
It was like 15 to 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they get mad when
let's give police the immunity, qualified immunity, or let's expand qualified immunity. Let's give police all the military support that they want. Let's give them SWAT vehicles. Let's give them all the different shotguns and pistols and whatever they want to have. Let's give them armored vehicles, everything.
And
let's just
that they can take home, and they can take it all home with them, and then it treat it as personal property. Yeah. And
hey, let's not forget Kamala, okay? Because she also supported civil asset forfeiture.
Yep.
So let's not keep her name out of this. We don't want to forget the black woman who also feels that you should take things from poor people.
And once again, this is why
and throw them in jail for if their kids aren't in school.
Yeah, they really hate poor people.
Throw hardworking black
really
mothers.
do. And that's why Joe Biden not lesser evil, because he's been quiet on the most fascist authoritarian parts of the police crackdown, like the use of DHS by Trump. Like, he don't ever talk about that shit because he don't want to lose that power for himself.
No.
For when he step in office.
He doesn't want to admit that he helped put it in place.
Yeah, this is his life work.
About kids in cages at all. Yeah.
This is his life work. So he's not gonna get mad. He's not gonna disband what's something that his life work. He's proud. Like, when you hear him talk about this kind of stuff, he's proud about it. Like, he hates the idea of people talking shit about his crime bill, because he be asked about it and he never ever apologizes for a crime bill. In fact, he still say that the crime bill was a net positive to this day. So this is what Joe Biden believes to the core of his of himself. Like, it's something that he's been fighting for, and he got power and he got it accomplished. And Joe Biden walk around with this smug arrogance because he's super proud of what he accomplished. Like, he see the police crackdown on the protesters, and he see the protesters stepping up and protesting the police state. And don't get twisted.
Even as vice president, he was doing the same thing. Yeah. Occupy Wall Street. Look at what happened to Occupy Wall Street. Look at what happened to Standing Rock. Like, even Obama, him and Obama were doing the same bullshit. But you know why? Yeah. No one cared about it, because it was someone blue doing it. It was a black man who was so smart and so well spoken and charismatic and clean, like Joe Biden said. And when I was like, clean? What the fuck?
You can tell how he really think about us. Yeah, you can tell exactly how he really think about us.
Yeah, no, it's a So it's that's the problem with that's the problem really with the mainstream media, is that like if you're the that's what liberals want. We talked about this last time about getting back to brunch. It's not that they want things to change, is that they want to not have to focus on it. They want because if you put Joe Biden in charge, the kids are still going to be in cages. The fracking's still going to continue. The wildfires aren't going away, but the coverage will stop. It will cease. You will get none of that. You will get none of this going on. And that's why I refuse to toe the line and get in, because like if Joe Biden, like do I want another 4 years of Donald Trump? No, but I do not want the idea of liberals feeling like they can politically disengage and feel like they can just all right, we'll forget about it. You know, they can go back again. They go back to brunch, and we're over here fighting these battles, and they're like, oh, what's going on? And just stay in the suburbs and be in their bubbles. I don't want that.
And the age of us apologizing, and the age of black people forfeiting our political power to protect the white liberal class, I think those days need to end immediately. Done. And that's why I brought Hamdia on here. And because she one of the people that unapologetically advocate for the people. And when I see like the Democratic Party still support the same police state that has been infiltrated by white supremacists, and then they want us to vote for a person who's unapologetically propping that up, I can't accept that as anything other than them wanting us to forfeit our political power to protect themselves. Because I love what Jackie brought up, because she said we have fascism ever since Monday. Like, that's just another Monday for our community. We've been a victim of the fascist state. And then you bring it up,
Exactly.
a lot of the white liberal class, they don't want to acknowledge it. And that's why Donald Trump is so uncomfortable for them, because Donald Trump no longer put on that smile. He don't put on that nice suit. He's not handsome. He doesn't hide the fascist police state. He doesn't hide the immoral government that has been here for decades. But now the white liberal class is affected by it. And this is a point my great friend Kayla made the other day, because she had a lot of liberals that would come after her when she said that Trump is a fascist as well. And she was like, bitch, we've been part of fascism. And we made a point that fascism.
Let me jump into this.
A lot of liberals. Yeah, go ahead, Savin.
I know.
I'm gonna end it with this, because a lot of liberals, they think fascism is literally when something happens to white people. But it's like, bitch, this has been happening to us forever. But go ahead, Savion.
Yep. Exactly.
Go ahead, Savion. What you about to say, homie?
All right, I was gonna say let me jump into this, because I posted a couple of days ago about Joe Biden and like him being a fascist. So this is what I said. I said Joe Biden wrote the crime bill that gave the police military power. He protected and still protects qualified immunity. He wrote the first version of the Patriot Act in 1994, but then it was 1995, the omnibus bill didn't pass, and he was the one that introduced it, and that also introduced ICE as well. So he actually helped create ICE along with George Bush and Dick Cheney, and then made the cages that they're still using to put undocumented parents and children in. Yet Trump is the only fascist.
Yep. Exactly. That's Nick and I were talking about it. Social MMA Nick. Okay, so now we've got MMA Nick and comedy Nick, just so we can get this right. All right, so MMA Nick and I were talking about that on my podcast when we were covering Biden, because we were like, people always want to cry fascism. How do you think Trump got the powers that he did? It was because of Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden more than anyone, because of his time as a senator and his time as VP, but mainly his time as a senator. Because in the 80s, he was to the right of Reagan. And in the 90s, he was to the right of, or 2000s,
he pushed
to the
Reagan.
right of Bush.
He pushed Reagan to the right.
Exactly. Reagan to the right, because he tried to do the crime bill in the 80s, and Reagan was like, nah, man, that's too much. If Reagan thinks that's too much, come on, man. Which lets you know how far right Clinton was, because he was like,
exactly.
So the Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas, they can all go jump off a cliff, and I don't even want to tell you where the Bidens can go.
So
how you gonna make $50,000 a month, can't pay child support?
So I want to ask you guys this. We got a comment in the chat. I'm gonna switch gears just one quick second. We got a comment in the chat from David Jones. He said, "What are your guys' takes on?" I mean, everyone kind of know my takes, but he said, "What's your takes on Nina Turner 2024?" What are you thinking, Savion? You excited about that?
Oh, you want me
to? what you got your eyes on? This is what they asking. They want to know what we think about Nina Turner officially coming out, because I kind of knew she was, because Nina Turner not afraid, man. She's been hinting the fact that she may run in 2024 for a while now. What are you guys thinking about her chances, and what's your overall opinion about the future of the progressive movement? Who should fall behind in 2024?
I mean, I definitely like Nina. Right. Yeah, go ahead, Savion.
I was just gonna say, if anybody that I can think of just on the spot that I think who can push the movement to where it needs to be next, the only two people that I can think of just on the spot right now are Nina Turner or AOC. They're like the only two that I can see pushing the movement for now. Of course, there's also Rashida Tlaib, who could do some amazing stuff, because y'all know how I feel about Rashida. Rashida's like my favorite. I would die hard for Rashida. But
Hillary Clinton
right. So I said the other day, I was like, I don't want to hear any shit from people saying any black people, namely Nina Turner, not having the experience to run for president. I mean, when this current president right now literally has no experience whatsoever. Nina Turner has the experience. She has the chops. She can speak on it. She can debate the hell out of someone.
She's gonna destroy P. She's gonna destroy P in 2024.
And then she commented on my post when I said that, and she was like, "Then there's that," and I was like,
"Bro, that's so hype."
Yeah, I mean,
I like jumped up, and my partner was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Nina commented on my post." which means she probably gonna run in 24.
I just felt like that before too.
That's what I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward because I see Nina doing something like that. Maybe possibly. I mean, just this is hypothetical. Having AOC as her running mate, that would be badass. But honestly, I feel like Nina could do it. I out of anyone right now, when it comes to progressivism, she's the one that should carry the mantle.
What do you think, Nick?
I think the biggest thing with like any sort of like people who any sort of progressive, and I definitely love Nina, and I definitely would like to see her. But I think the overall broader point is just like while you see people adopt a movement like this is the same thing we saw with Medicare for all in 2019. Remember, everyone was, oh, we're all for Medicare for all, we're all for, all the Democratic candidates came out, oh, yeah, we're for Medicare for all, we want all these things, and they all slowly fell by the wayside. So I think just we as the reason I gravitate towards
Nina would never do that. I
know, absolutely. I know Nina would never do that. And that's why I think she's the most trustworthy one. But I think the reason progressives gravitated towards Bernie, because we're all in leftists in general, is just like we're already kind of like an infighting group, and we're always kind of like testing to see where this person is, right? And testing to see if they're really about what they say they're about. And I think like and the reason Bernie Sanders worked as a candidate for the progressive movement was because we could see a 40-year track record of him saying the exact same thing over and over again. It's why we didn't buy Elizabeth Warren, because we knew she might have been for Medicare for all. Yeah, and then but then as soon as the donors started coming knocking on the door, she kind of fell apart. She kind of changed her plan a little bit, and she changed her whole campaign finance. Oh well, if they're gonna get donors, I have to get donors, and like the last thing you want what progressives trust more than anything is trustworthiness and earnestness. Like if I see that you're really about what you say you're about, then I can believe that you're going to try to pass Medicare for all, that you're going to try and that you're going to try and expand Social Security, that you're going to try and pass public education. If I don't see those things, if I can't see that sort of like earnestness and honestness within you, then I can't believe that you're going to follow through on these things, because these things are going to be hard to pass, because there's no money in it. You're taking money, you're actually using the money what it's for, which is for the people. So like those things are hard to get through.
The reason we're like that is because of Barack Obama, because he came in promising hope and change on a progressive ticket, and then immediately pivoted to being not just not even regular Democrat. He went straight Republican.
He was a Republican.
Yeah,
straight Republican. ACA was Romney care.
Oh, exactly. It was a Republican bill, and then on top of that, the fact that Obama disrespected Black people himself. Like he allowed white people to disrespect us. He's allowing them to do that, because I mean, even himself called Black people thugs. He called Black people thugs. I just go to show you that he's
told
allowing
Kaepernick to shut up and dribble.
Talk shit to us. He told Kaepernick, you're being disrespectful. Shut the hell up and do your job.
And he told the NBA player shut up and
do their
job too. Sorry.
I know what Hamdia thinks about Nina Turner.
Yeah, are you still there, Hamdia? I don't know what happened.
Here, come on, Hamdia.
Yeah, I would.
No, she just muted herself. There she is.
Yeah, let's give her a moment. I want to hear from Hamdia.
So my eyes have been hurting from allergies, and I just cannot stare at the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can keep your video off if you want to. No pressure.
Yeah, I want you guys to see me. Let me.
Yeah, we want to see you too. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
So
there she is.
I know we all talk a lot, but feel free to jump in, Hamdia. Feel free. I know. This is super casual.
We're talkers.
So, yeah.
What was the question?
So we were just talking about the future. We had someone in the live chat that was asking us how we feel about 2024, Nina Turner. I'm gonna give my take here soon after all you guys give your guys' take.
Basically, how do you feel? How do you feel about Nina, and who do you think could push the progressive movement?
Yeah.
Who could push the progressive movement further?
Who could be a leader? Yeah.
So I think that, to be honest, like, we're past Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
He's
So
too
I'm
old
not
now
the
at
only
this
one who
point.
feels that
All right,
way.
look,
Yeah, no.
look, all the black people agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Um,
toss them to the side quickly. Like it's like look, we don't
All
do
right,
that hero
cool.
worship shit.
Next.
so,
I know,
Like, you're
right?
done
Like
fighting? All right, on to the next one.
but
After
I
he
love.
dropped out and went with Biden, it was like,
We was like, all right,
nah,
to
we
the
need.
curb.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I'm gonna
Hamdia.
move on.
So I love Nina Turner, and I think that she will be an amazing candidate for presidency. Um, I do believe that though we have a lot of work to do in the next 4 years
Yes.
to even
Mhm.
to make that possible, because
Yeah.
right now, like I can't believe the Democrat Party picked Biden as a nominee.
I will
Like
never forgive them
I'm
for
still
that.
pissed off about that.
Yeah, I won't either.
This is like the same man who wrote the crime bill, who literally called black young men thugs and advocated for mass incarceration.
Mhm.
He said we had no
And then
conscience,
during
and if in the Senate for
exactly,
But
Remember
it's
though,
okay
we
because
we ain't
Kamala
black.
Harris is his VP pick, and despite the fact that she's black, she still hates black people.
Yeah.
Right?
the
It's
thing is,
not like tokenism is a thing. And then on top of that, we ain't black in this
Kamala Harris.
Yep.
I guarantee you, Kamala Harris is
We
the
ain't
one of the
black.
people that lock her doors when she see black people walking by her. I guarantee
She
she-
literally said that.
literally,
She said that
For
in
real?
her speech when she was trying to talk about I'm gonna let Hamdia finish,
Yeah, go
but
ahead,
yeah,
Hamdia.
Kamala
no, go
actually said
ahead.
that about crime.
I gotta look that up.
So
Go ahead,
Kamala
Hamdia.
Harris, first of all, I think that, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when she was elected as a senator, she was elected as a Indian senator.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's the
Is that how she
background.
ran?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
the background that they used to describe her, but now all of a sudden they're using a black woman. Like
Mhm.
I just don't understand where that is coming from.
Well, yeah. She's
She's
half Indian.
Yeah,
She's half Indian.
Yeah.
she's black and
Okay.
Indian, but she was
Yeah.
raised predominantly by her
Yeah.
Indian mother.
Yeah, but they never
Yeah.
called her black, and now all of a sudden every media outlet's like calling her black. I don't understand
They
why
got the
they
memo.
didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to be
Well,
fair,
It's because
like,
it's
to
tokenism.
be fair, I live in California, and when I voted for her for senator because I knew nothing about her, but
Boo.
out here they did call her black.
So I think that I honestly feel like she hurt the black community, and she really hurt the black community because she advocated for mass incarceration, and I think that she needs to take accountability for that.
Yep.
If she wants us to
She
vote
won't.
for
Well,
Joe
she
Biden,
did. That's
won't,
why
though.
she couldn't win the state of California, which is why she had to
She had to
drop
drop
out.
out. That's
The
embarrassing.
accountability was that nobody was going to vote for her for president, so she
She
had to
Yeah.
drop out of the race.
She literally laughed
Yeah.
at the idea, and this was like one of the first speeches, like the first Oppo research I heard about Kamala, is when she gave that speech where she was mocking the idea of building more schools and implementing more education
Yeah.
programs. She was like, yeah, that sounds like a good progressive idea. Let's
She
more,
called us
and she was
stupid.
literally doing
She
like
called
this
young
dance
people
where she
stupid.
was like mocking the idea of rehabilitating a community instead of locking it up. Like this is the
And she
idea
called
she
young
has.
people. Yeah, and she
Yeah, that
called
was when she said, like, I literally lock my door. Like, I have a deadbolt on my door, not because of people, like, not because we don't have enough schools, but because they're criminals.
Yeah.
Wow. So she basically called young people stupid. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I
There
did.
was,
Oh yeah, I
a
saw that.
video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm speaking like from just my own observations. I
Yeah,
just
we
feel
hear
like the
you.
Democrat Party wants to use black people as a token.
Yes.
They
They've
don't
been
understand that
using
they
black
actually,
people for the last 50 plus
yeah,
years.
exactly. And trying to like pick somebody like an athlete or a musician to try to convince us to vote for Biden. Like, do you understand that these people, yeah, they're black and they're also facing oppression, but they're not the working class people like the rest of the black community as well. Like, we're literally out here struggling. We're out here fighting against police brutality in an era where black people are literally being murdered by the police every single day. Joe Biden had the audacity
Preach.
to elect to nominate a cop as a vice president. Like, somebody who literally advocated for mass incarceration.
Yeah.
That is like a slap in the face to
Not only
everyone.
that,
I mean, let's
And
face
not
it.
only
Joe
that-
Biden himself is the slap in the face. Kamala's just the cherry on
oh,
top.
I know that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. It was a slap in the face, and then Kamala ended up being that one
She's the
person who
salt in the
come
wound.
with the elbows.
She
The
she
one
finished the
person with elbows
combination.
come in at you.
100%. I feel like they're not listening to us. And first of all, the DNC is just a whole it's a mess.
Tell us about
They
it.
literally
Tell us
had
about
more
Hamdia.
they had more Republicans speak at their convention than progressives. Literally, the DNC is so messed up. They forgot to include Black Muslims.
Yeah, I remember
at
you
the
talking about that.
convention.
They
As
didn't
if-
forget shit.
if-
They did that on purpose.
Oh
They
yeah,
didn't
they
forget.
didn't forget.
That was
They did that on
purposeful.
purpose. Excuse
Yeah.
me. They did that on purpose.
I remember because they're trying to promote the Republicans. They don't give a shit about the left.
Yeah.
They're trying to get
Yeah,
in public.
They are willing to burn the 30% of their base that are progressives to get 5% of Republicans.
That's
Yeah.
lower
Exactly.
than
That's
the Democrats that
fundamentally
Trump
bad
got.
math.
Like in 2016, Trump got like 8% Democrats, and he didn't even give a fuck.
Yeah.
And
Like,
he didn't
even
do
try.
anything.
Yeah.
He got
Exactly.
he got more bipartisan support than Joe Biden did. He did not give a fuck. Like,
But did y'all see? Did y'all just
I
see what
think
just happened?
what was that say,
What
John?
happened?
But
What-
Oh no, I was just saying he's losing Florida now. Biden's
Oh,
losing
yeah.
Florida because Latinos
Oh
are
my
coming
God.
are going in full force for Trump now in
Look,
Florida.
See, that's why I went out of our
Wow.
community, and this is what me and Hamdi always stresses.
But
Because
look at this though. Hold on, Nick. Hold on. But then Biden came out, or his team came out, and said that their path to victory is not the Latino vote.
yeah, and you see the reaction.
they did say that. Wow.
Go ahead. You see the
Wow.
And yeah, we were told, oh, if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black. Well, excuse me, then I guess I'm not black. None of us are black.
yeah. I guess we're making
Well,
a
I
new
mean,
race right
because-
now.
You
And
have to earn
obviously
our
you're not
vote,
black
like-
because we're a monolith and we all think the exact same, which
We
is
are all
why
Jim
we don't need
Clyburn.
representation in the media.
Joe Biden said that we're
Jim
not
Clark-
we
diverse.
think the same.
And you know,
Jackie, Biden said it. Biden said it. He
I
said
know.
that black people aren't as diverse as Latinos.
No,
Yeah.
so pretty much every time I give a sarcastic take, it's literally word for word from what either Kamala or Biden have said.
Yeah.
Africa is a country. Just so you all know, it is
Country,
one
it's not a
place.
continent.
That's
It's
a
a co-
giant
it's-
country.
It's one big country, and everyone's the same. It's just the Lion King over and over again.
That's a huge country, man.
And the
And for
reaction.
everybody in the diaspora to all have a hive
Yeah,
mind,
we all
like, who's
we
the
are
queen bee?
Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn speaks for all of us.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna go kill myself now.
the reaction of the Latino community, and this is why, like I said, I appreciate Hamdia's voice because she got the same energy that I have as well. You see how the Democrat Party gave you a giant fuck you to the Latino community, and they respond in kind. Where they're like, "Yo, no, fuck you too." Like they have that energy about them, and we as a community need to develop that same fuck you energy. If you want to tell us fuck you,
Yeah.
fuck you right back, because that's what Latinos did. Because they're like, "Oh, are you really gonna pick the vice president of the deporter in chief? Oh, you think you're gonna get away with that? Fuck that. We need that in our community." Go ahead, Hamdia.
Kamala and Biden, they support ICE. They will not abolish ICE. First of all, I really want people to understand that Obama, I stood in line for 5 hours to meet this guy,
Yeah.
just for him to disappoint me. My legs and hands froze in New Hampshire while I was waiting in line for him. I met him, and everybody's like, "Well, how come you don't really like Obama that much anymore?" I was 11 years old. I didn't know shit. Now I know that.
You guys all still
Like-
saw my tweets about Obama in 2012. Like you guys
Literally,
seen it.
exactly.
That-
Like Obama, yes, he was the first black president. We appreciate him. Like, it's great that he made history, but he also did not do much to help the black
we
community.
wanted him
He
to
was
be
a
good so
Republican.
bad.
He was a
We
Republican.
wanted to
Also-
like him so bad.
He actually did harm. He did
Yeah,
actual
also-
harm. More blacks lost wealth during
Yep.
his presidency than ever
Mhm.
before.
I bring that up
He
all
did
the time.
actual harm.
But billionaires got richer.
Yeah.
Income inequality got
So-
worse under Barack Obama.
So
Absolutely.
Obama, like Biden, Obama was literally deporting a lot of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
He was the commander in chief of deportation. People need to realize that Obama was the commander in chief
Yep.
of
So
deportation.
you had
So
Obama.
we had
Go ahead, Hambia.
They call him deporter in chief.
so
Sorry, go ahead, Hambia. I didn't.
Biden no problem. Biden did nothing to stop the deportation of immigrants as a vice president. He did nothing to abolish ICE. What makes people think that he's gonna just stop the deportation of immigrants
People really
and
think
he's
he's gonna
gonna
change
help
at
those
80.
kids get free from the cages? Like,
They
we're
don't
not
care.
dumb.
They don't care.
He
They don't care.
literally told someone on like not 100 years ago, literally during this primary, he told someone someone asked him about this very question. They were like, "Yo, when you and Obama were in office, you guys deported 3 million people. Are you going to continue that, or are you going to do something about it?" And Biden's response was vote for Trump.
Yeah, it was. And it was
I
a
remember that. I
Mexican
actually
guy.
saw that video.
It was here in Texas.
Yeah.
It was here in Texas.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you the video. I'm gonna send you the video,
hurts.
Nick.
It hurts.
Social or MMA Nick. So you can
we can play that.
It
We can play that too. Yeah, once soon as I get, I'm gonna play it. And this is the point I make to people all the time, because you see how all of us, we are, and the young black people, we are unapologetic about Obama. We really wanted Obama to be a thing. We really like, people act like I hate Obama for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted him to be the truth. I wanted him to be the motherfucking man. But he wasn't. And then with the white liberal class, they love Obama, and they elevate him to cult status, because the white community is the only community in large that wasn't affected by Obama. And I make this point all the time.
Yeah.
Look at it down the line. Black people, our wealth was destroyed by Barack Obama. Flint, Michigan, Barack Obama was complicit in lining that up, so he destroyed the black community. He was the deporter in chief. He destroyed the Latino community. He bombed Muslims in mass. He broke necks in Standing Rock. So literally, the only community that Barack Obama did destroy was the white liberal upper class. And these are the people that drive. These are the people that yell at us when we're anti-Obama. Like, check your privilege, motherfucker. Like, check your fucking privilege. Go ahead, Lyles.
You forgot you forgot the part where you forgot the part where he bailed out the banks as well. So
I could go all day.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, like, I remember being like, 18, 19, 20, and like, you're not involved in. Hamdia, can you turn your mic off, please? Because I'm getting the echo. Can you turn your mic off, please?
All you gotta do is
mic. There we go.
You're good.
There we go. Thank you, Hamdia. But like, I remember when you're not involved in these, like you said, when you're not really involved in the political cycle, it's like, you think like, oh, well, Barack Obama's in charge, things are going well, like everything's fine, right? And then like, you hear people's criticism of him, and you just assume like, oh, well, this is racism. Like, oh, they just don't like Barack Obama because he's black. It's like, no, like, drone strikes are an actual criticism of his presidency. The bank bailout is an actual criticism of his presidency. Like, and it's so easy to dismiss as, oh, well, you're just like some racist conservative, but like, they don't have an answer when it's like, when it's black people, you're like, no, this is like a legitimate problem. Like, DHS is a problem, ICE is a problem, and this started under Barack. The foreclosures of millions of homes happened under Barack Obama, and that's a tangible material problem that had to be addressed, that needs to be addressed. And it's so easy to wipe away that criticism with, oh, well, you just hate Obama because he's black.
Honestly, he's the one who ushered in the weaponizing of identity politics that we have today, where they say, here's someone who looks like you. They're gonna do everything against you in their power, but they look like you, so shut up and be happy.
Exactly.
He's the one who successfully did it, and he is the model that the Democratic Party is using from now on. Yeah. Like, that's exactly what they intended to do with Kamala in the beginning, and what they're ultimately doing with her right now.
Yeah, and I am so sick and tired of white people telling me who I should and shouldn't vote for. Like,
exactly.
Privilege. Like, Joe Biden has never hurt your community. You're not affected by mass incarceration. Your community is not affected by police brutality. We are the ones out here who are being hunted down by the police. We're the ones who are experiencing and dealing with systemic and institutional racism. Check your privilege. Like, don't tell us who to vote for.
Like Hamdia give me energy because I'm gonna pull up this stuff. I'm gonna pull the clip that Jackie just sent me on the Biden thing. But I feel like we can. I wanted to show this. Let me get up on here because I remember Hamdia had a video where because she's been talking about her work on the Black Lives Matter protest.
Oh yeah.
And you've been, like I said, you're a gangster because like you're the prime target of MAGA, like you're the prime target of white supremacists. And despite that, you can see our girl over here. Let me put some value on this.
Let me see.
Because I love this video. Can I hear that?
You can't reason. You can't reason. You guys threaten me.
Yeah, I got it.
And this is
I can't see it.
You're silly. You can't reason.
I can't see it.
You can't reason.
I can see
You
it.
can't reason. You need to
I'm gonna let it loop one more time.
Yo,
Let it loop again.
yo, how do you say I'm pulling up?
So it's like, bro,
What's happening? Where you at? What's up? I'm here. Yo, how do you have all the smoke for everybody, bro?
They were just sitting there like, what is this? We did not expect this.
Bro, yo.
I love that video.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my god.
So like when I hear Hamdia say
so
shit like, I hate when white progressives tell me what I should vote for. I can see that energy. Like, I wish they would say that shit to her face. Like, say
I
to her
pulled
face.
up.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's literally what I'm saying.
So
that's literally what I'm saying.
So
I swear, if they come with that energy in person,
bro.
I'm like, if they see me in person, they gonna be like, oh shit. I'm 6'5". Like they don't realize my height. People
Yeah, you're a tall ass
You're
motherfucker.
6'5".
Yeah, you tall as fuck.
I'm huge,
on your
man.
head like Bam Bam trying to get 7 feet. Like what the hell?
So
I'm
Hamdia.
telling you, man.
So
I
Hamdia.
don't realize they talk shit. They talk shit online. I swear, if they come in person, they gonna be like, "Oh,
My man said,
damn,
I'm
that's a big dude."
6'5". He said, I'm 6'5", 240. What's up?
I'm 5'3".
No, I literally am 6'5", 240.
He's 5'3", but 100% muscle.
They
Bro,
were so,
I'm telling you, man. Don't play with me.
So
they
Hamdia.
were so shook.
Go
They
ahead.
were so shook when I showed up.
Yeah.
Bro, that's wild.
So
Gangster.
I am 5'3" and I weigh like 94 pounds. And they're like,
Yeah.
who the hell is this tiny girl?
And she not scared at all, bro.
You a badass.
That guy is like so much taller than me. I'm 5'3", and I'm just like looking up at him like, what you gonna do? Like, you guys can't do shit. Because we had to literally cancel our BLM protest.
Yeah.
They threatened to shoot us. A group online said if we show up, they're gonna shoot us. They threatened to shoot me, and it was like a whole thing in our community. The media
That's so
got
wild.
involved, and this was the Proud Boys. They call themselves Proud Boys. I'm like, I don't care who you are. Like, the protest was canceled. Someone else had a peaceful protest to stand in solidarity with BLM. So I just pulled up, and I'm like, what's up? Like, you guys threatened me, and now you can't do shit.
I saw.
Like, what's up?
I saw that what was going on, and you told me you was about to go back up there. I was like, man, I almost want to come up there and be your bodyguard because I was talking about how
literally.
I was in the back today. I was feeling myself. I mean, I've been doing this shit I've been doing more time for 15 years, and I was like, hey, yo, you guys don't want this heat with me. You got my boy Savion, who's 6'5". So imagine us as a squad.
I'm 6'5".
So we had to cancel our BLM protest, and we literally.
I conceal carry all the time.
I'm
always carried.
So there was some of them were like standing across the street with just like their little guns like in their pockets or whatever, and I'm just like, you guys look like fools. They literally threatened. So I'm 23. Everybody in our chapter is under the age of 25 years old. They threaten all of us because we raised bail funds for civil disobedience, and they're like, oh my god, riot, they're gonna loot, they're gonna do this, and I'm like, your ancestors rioted, your ancestors looted black people to this country. Like, shut up and stop associating us with looting, because we're not about that. And violence, we learned that shit from freaking white people who enslaved black people and beat them up.
Cat Williams,
So
Williams legendarily said
like
I remember he came up with an impromptu stand up, and one part of his I didn't watch the whole thing, but one part of it that I really like, you know how Dave Chappelle just came out with his stand up talking about George Floyd and all that stuff. He came out with one kind of similar to that. And one point that he made, he was like, "You guys are lucky that we wasn't wild out more than we already was." He said, "We, despite all the oppression that we had, we've been actually fucking great in hindsight." I love the point.
We've been very, very good. we've been on our best behavior for a long time.
Docile,
Dude, very docile. Good's the wrong word, but
we getting
we've
there.
been very docile as a population. Yeah, we getting there. Man, you know what I want to talk about? So listen, we haven't talked about this at all today, but it is 9/11.
Oh
so
yeah,
we haven't talked about that at all, and I felt like that's just like a subject that we should approach. So I mean,
that's
whether it's a 9/11 where your subjects on where you were at the time, how you feel about it now, like just shoot from the hip. Nick, Savion, whoever.
So I'll start first. All right,
I got
because
you. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Savion. I'll save my take for last because I'm gonna go. I got something I definitely want to say about that. Go ahead, Savion.
All right, so let me see. Where was I during 9/11? I was 6 years old, and 6 or 7. I was like kindergarten, first grade, whatever. I don't really remember that much. I remember on my way to school, my mom was taking me to school. She turned around and stopped, and then we went home, and I saw it on TV, and I was like, "What's happening? Is that a movie?" I thought it was a movie or something. But then that happened, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy!" Like, and then my mom just kind of like gave me a history lesson, like a little lesson, like, well, this just happened, and blah 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 blah. Like this. This is going to be a big deal for, our country. And I was just like, I mean, I'm in first, second grade, whatever. I don't know what that means,
Y'all about to draft me? Like, what's happening?
So I didn't know what it was about. But slowly throughout the years, being more radicalized now, I'm just like, honestly, I don't give a shit. Just be honest. I mean, I care about the fact that, yes, it was a terroristic attack. But reading more into it, you start to learn. I mean, America kind of deserved it for the shit they've done to them. I'm like,
there's a 9/11 all the time in the Middle East. There's a 9/11 all the time.
Yeah, there's a 9/11 all the time. I mean, Obama gave them a lot of 9/11s
to Americans.
Yeah. But it's Americans. That's exactly what changed. So I said today, I was like, I made it more about what's happening in this day and age. I said more than 70 times the number of Americans who died from 9/11 are dead this year from COVID-19. Blame your local Republican governors, your representatives, the senators, the Trump administration, and selfish Americans who refuse to wear masks. Like blame Congress too, Democrats and Republicans, for not helping the working class people any further. A measly $1,200 while people are being evicted, losing their homes and apartments, increasing their debt, and barely surviving. This whole country is a damn shame. All buildings matter.
that shit had me that shit had me cracking up. So Jackie, what's your 9/11 story before I share?
Oh no! So I know they're talking about Nina Turner.
All right, let's get, because I still haven't given my take on that. So before we do that, because this is what we're gonna do. Because once again, I always have like an hour time frame. We like an hour and a half, but we can keep going. I'm gonna give my take on 9/11. I still haven't given my take on Nina Turner. And then we can wrap up from there. So this is where I'm coming from in terms of 9/11, because I'm a big political nerd. I always try to see what the messaging, and when I look at 9/11, it was a giant tragedy, and I'm not gonna hold back. I'm not gonna judge anyone who was affected by that tragedy, who had someone who died during that tragedy. If every year you want to honor those people, I understand, homie. If you want to honor the firefighters that died that day trying to save lives, I understand you, homie.
Absolutely.
But at a certain point, when do we move on? Because there been a tragedy after tragedy. Look, why isn't there like a Hurricane Katrina? Why isn't there a big focus on what happened in Hurricane Katrina every goddamn year? Why isn't there a focus on what happened in Flint, Michigan every goddamn year? So once again, there's a tragedy, and if you're impacted by that tragedy, Yeah, and celebrate that shit every year. But this is what driving me crazy. I'm gonna pull this on my screen up right now. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys seen this. And this guy, I'm very happy that my man Paul Krugman getting destroyed. And this is what the
Oh,
9/11.
thank you for bringing this
This is
up.
what
Yeah.
the 9/11 shit is pissing me off because you see liberals and you see the mainstream media. They use the 9/11 as a way to propagandize their people even more. So one thing that
Mhm.
What
not
the shit?
9/11 was such a devastating moment for American history because it gave our government permission to crack down on our
Yeah.
civil liberties. They've been, don't get me twisted. Don't get it twisted. The
Mhm.
government, they've been waiting for an excuse. Like the
Yeah.
Patriot Act was a bill that Joe Biden helped wrote that was on the shelf. They was waiting to roll this motherfucker out.
Mhm.
And then when 9/11 happened,
Exactly.
they gave them the excuse to do that. So now you
Mhm.
got people like Paul. This is why I don't get caught up in the whole we gotta never forget 9/11 shit. Because we got this motherfucker, Paul Krugman.
Mhm.
Overall, Americans took 9/11 pretty calmly. Notably, there wasn't a mass outbreak of anti-Muslim sentiment. What the fuck? Okay, and
This is
violence,
such bullshit.
which could
Yeah.
all could easily happen. And while George W. Bush was a terrible president, to his oh my, I can't finish that. Y'all can read that shit.
He tried to
So
call. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So please,
oh
please
wait,
let Hamza
yeah,
comment on that.
let me unmute. I just mute you just cause we have feedback. I can unmute you here. What you thinking? What you thinking, Hamdia?
So I was like 3 years old living in a refugee camp when 9/11
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that day until I came to America. And I learned about 9/11 after I was called a terrorist in this country. I didn't know
That's
why
sad.
people hated me for wearing a headscarf. I was literally a young girl. I did not know about any of the history of America because I wasn't born in this country and I was new to this country when I was called a terrorist the first time.
Meanwhile, Paul Krugman
Um,
trying to erase the fact that that happened to you. How disgusting is that?
yes,
He's trying to
Yeah.
yeah.
erase that.
So
Go ahead, Hamdia.
like literally I didn't even know what a terrorist was and I had to like search that up to even learn
Mhm.
what 9/11 and everything meant.
Mhm.
But I think that the rise of Islamophobia, like we've seen a lot of Muslims were impacted by 9/11. Muslims were in that building and they also lost their lives.
Yes.
Muslims
Mhm.
were attacked. There was a
Mm.
guy in Dallas, Texas, who a Pakistani guy who was Indian or Pakistani, I forgot. He was literally shot in his own convenience store. And when they asked the man who shot him, why did you do that? He was like, because I hate Middle Easterns due to what happened during 9/11.
Mm.
Muslims, literally, a lot of Muslims did not feel comfortable wearing a headscarf after 9/11.
Yeah.
With the rise of
That's so
Islamophobia,
devastating.
we've seen that Muslims are literally surveillance. Like we've seen laws that were implemented where there was a lot of surveillance in communities like New York, the Arab
Mhm.
community. There was surveillance when people are trying to travel to other countries, and if you're a
Mhm.
Muslim and you have a Muslim name, they
Mhm.
literally put you I don't know what
On the
it's called.
list. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a list and they interview you to see
Mhm.
like where are you going, what are you gonna do. So we came back from Kenya in 2012, and at the airport, this guy from the what is it, like the immigration
TSA?
whatever, yeah, yeah, that he was like asking us, where did you guys go, do you have family members, do you have this, and I'm like, nigga, why you keep asking the wrong question, like what do you I was literally, you guys, I
uh,
was in ninth grade. Okay, I was in
yeah.
ninth grade, and I literally said, "Why are you keep asking us that?" And he's like, "Well, we just want to check." I'm like, "We went to Kenya to visit my grandmother, who we haven't seen in so many years, and she recently passed away. But we went to go see her, so please just stop with all the questions." And then in London, they were like asking about why like one of my family members, like their passport wasn't working or something. I'm like, you better check because how did they get to London if their passport wasn't working? So it's like
Mhm.
they always try to of course their passport was working, but it's like, little things that they try to make excuses for to investigate people because they have a
Mhm.
Muslim name. It's unfortunate, but 9/11, honestly, people need to understand that Muslims had nothing to do with 9/11. We
Yes.
didn't commit that shit. Like in
So
Yeah.
our religion, our faith teaches teaches us that if you commit an act of violence and if you even kill someone, it's as if you killed everybody in the world.
Yes.
That's like, and if you save someone, it's as if you saved everybody in the world. So please stop associating 9/11 with us, because we had nothing to do with it.
So
And it's unfortunate because I'm always like scared during 9/11, the day of it, because I don't know if people are gonna attack me. I really don't. Like, I get attacked every day, but for some reason I always like have this anxiety during the
I don't
day of
blame
like
you.
9/11.
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
don't blame you.
And
at
I
all
woke
for that.
up to like racist people literally saying, "Go back to your country, do this."
Yeah.
I literally mentioned the fact that Muslims were affected by 9/11. They're like, "Why are you guys making it about you? Why are you making it about
I
yourself?"
saw
I'm like,
that. Oh my
Don't you
god.
know
Oh
it's
my
about white
gosh.
people?
Yeah. It was it
Yeah.
was all Italian men who died in the Twin Towers.
yeah, but that guy
Italian
is
and Irish
messed
people.
up. That guy is messed up for saying that the Islamophobia did not rise after
Oh.
9/11.
I'm
Oh
glad he
my
got
god. So
30,000
I
Has
was
he
quotes.
an
been living
adult
under a
at the
rock?
time.
Like,
So go ahead, Jackie.
I was your age, Hamdia, when 9/11
oh
happened.
wow.
So I can tell you firsthand, because I was into politics then as well. Yes,
Yeah.
George W. Bush was a terrible president, but I remember specifically, I'm not Muslim, okay? But I remember the rise in anti-Muslim
Yeah.
hatred.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
absolutely.
off the charts.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking, like, white people don't know who to hate more, black people or Muslims. I didn't even think of
Listen,
black Muslims. Like,
listen,
just don't even go out of your house.
man, listen,
You know?
black people really got a break from like 2001
Yeah.
forward, because
And it's
Person.
not
That
Oh,
was
what was that,
not
Hamdia?
yeah
What was
yeah
that?
the
right
thing is, they
yeah,
can't even
yeah
differentiate
they
between
can't
Sikhs
differentiate
and
them,
Muslims.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because Sikhs got a lot of hate too, and they're not even
Yeah.
Muslim.
Oh yeah,
But because
yeah.
they wear turbans, people assume that's the thing. Like yes, most Muslims have wear the headscarf, but not every the majority of the
Yeah.
people who wear turbans are actually Sikh. They're not
Yeah.
Muslim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just associate that, and so many people were getting terrorized, and there are people like people who were Latino and black, just because their skin color kind of looked a little bit like it, they were getting
Yeah.
terrorized, and it was not a good time to be a minority.
Not
And
at
meanwhile,
all.
he's trying to white rock. Like, that is like one of the most disgusting tweets I've
Yeah.
seen in my. Like, he got 30,000 quote tweets on that shit. So like,
Yeah,
I'm glad.
dude,
I'm glad like people are dogging on his ass for that, and he deserves.
On top
That's
of
one of the
that,
worst tweets I've
like,
seen ever. I'm not gonna lie.
that was a terrible take, because I remember when Bush wanted to go into Iraq, I was like, they didn't do 9/11. You're throwing
was
a
an
dart
excuse.
at the Middle East, and you're picking a Muslim country. They didn't do it. We knew back
Exactly.
then. That's why when Joe Biden is like, we were trying to protect the country. No, you fucking weren't, because I was a kid. I was your age, and I knew that it wasn't Iraq.
Wow. Yeah.
500,000.
You already know why it was Iraq
Sorry,
and Iran.
what was that, Hamdia?
I said, from what I did, my research from last time, it said 500,000 Muslims lost their lives in Afghanistan, Iraq, and in Pakistan because of the war on terror.
That's
exactly.
the take I was about to have, actually.
No.
Because like,
did you guys see the video of the guy throwing a shoe at Bush? I was just thinking,
I love that shit.
What
Do you know?
happened to that guy?
Do you know they made a monument to him?
Oh
To the
yeah,
shoe guy?
yes, I love that.
The
Oh
shoe.
my God.
To the
Are
shoe?
you
That's funny.
serious?
To the shoe.
That
To the
was in
shoe.
Iraq, right?
That's wonderful.
That happened in Iraq.
I don't know where that happened. I couldn't tell you where it happened. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, I
That was-
do remember.
So
I just
where he
remember
threw. You
that
mean where he
'cause
threw the
everybody,
shoe?
Yeah.
everybody was talking about Bush, and I just remember that video, and I was so shook that someone actually threw a shoe at a president. Like, that was
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
like,
dude, it was wild.
yeah. So
I
I think
think
more
that's
people
my
need to throw shoes at presidents.
that's my
It should
take. I
become
wish
like normalized throwing shoes.
So
at
Yeah.
the monument,
I'm sorry.
the monument is in Iraq. The monument where
Nice.
the shoe is in Iraq.
Yeah,
nice.
that's
So
awesome.
I mean,
The,
that's something I wish 9/11 will turn into, at least for the left, or at least people who are more like-minded, who don't fall for the stupid ass Maya talking points. Like, why can't 9/11 be about mourning the fallen Middle Eastern civilians that have been impacted by that? To me, that's as big as a tragedy. I don't value one human life over another. But if you look at the amount of Middle
And you're not
Easterns that killed,
American.
if you look
so
at
far,
that,
you're not black and you're not American. What are you?
You ain't black.
Yeah,
you
bro,
ain't
you
American.
can't.
so it's like I think that's something
Yeah,
that we should acknowledge in 9/11. And when I reflect on 9/11, as a staunch anti-imperialist, I focus on the
yeah.
evils of the George Bush administration. I focus on the evils of Dick Cheney. I focus on the evil of the military-industrial complex because I think 9/11. After a while, like I said, I mentioned earlier that if you know someone who died for 9/11, or if you want to honor the firefighters that gave their lives, that's valid. But I think as a left-wing movement, as a progressive movement, and as a culture, I think we should shift the focus on never forget 9/11. It should be a day of acknowledgement of the military-industrial complex, a mourning of all the
That's
Middle
exactly
Eastern
what it should
people
be.
who died because of
That
the U.S. imperialism. So that's what
yeah,
I focus on. I haven't been doing a lot of tweets
it's
because
been
I've been
yeah.
working. Go ahead, Jackie.
I don't like the
I was gonna
hypocrisy
say.
of never forget 9/11, but if you ask for reparations, oh, y'all got to get over it.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you for saying that. That's perfect.
It's no, Jackie. You gotta remember that was
But let's talk
forever
about
ago,
this,
and this
though.
is it's,
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Since we want to talk about healthcare and everything, let's talk about 9/11. What happened after 9/11?
they didn't give
Firefighters.
any.
What
They
happened to
gave none of the firefighters any health care. They
started
didn't give
dying.
nothing.
They started dying from black lung and black lung disease and all of these cancers because they huffed up all of the ash and fumes, and they started dying. But guess what happened? They started to not give them the health care that they need in order to survive, and John Stewart had to come full force and fight for them.
He's still doing. He's still doing it.
He's still doing it to
They're
this
still
day.
trying to deny it.
Yeah.
And Rand Paul was actually one of the top ones that
So-
that was a piece of shit
So
about this.
So if you're a right
And then
wing,
John Stewart had to stand in front of Congress and like basically eat their ass to shreds, telling them how much a piece of shits they are
yep,
for not trying
he's a legend for that.
to not compensate these people for what
Honestly,
they did.
you know what? I think we needed. If Jon Stewart were still doing the Daily Show, we would have had maybe enough of a bump so that the whole coalescing behind the other candidates wouldn't have worked, and Bernie might have still won. Because Jon Stewart would tell
Trevor Noah is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah sucks ass.
He does.
He got
He's
paid
totally
I'm
for a reason.
sorry.
He got that mansion.
Yeah.
I forgot exactly where
Yeah,
it is, but there was that big story. Of him
I
buying-
cannot stand him.
I kind of like Stephen Colbert.
He's also a
little-
neo-lib. He's not great. on
Yeah,
this.
It's I kind of like him.
No.
On some of his
I'm not saying Stephen Colbert's not funny, but yeah, when you get these sort of like what you see sort of the manufactured consent through comedy that's
Exactly.
used for these people, like you know, remember what did Trevor Noah asked Hillary Clinton about on TV? He asked her something like God, I can't remember that moment. It was like he said something like about like her deleting her emails, so just like these sort of talking points that you have. I'm gonna try
He
to
was a
find this clip.
rusticator.
Yeah, it's all manufacturing consent. Meanwhile, when
but
Bernie
you
went
know what
on,
Trevor Noah
he went
Yeah,
with the script.
I was gonna say the Bernie thing.
Bernie when he was going on, and I'm like, you know what? Jon Stewart would have actually drilled people when they came and sat down across from him, because that's what he did. And remember, he went on Crosstalk, and he talked to both of them, and he was like, "Why are you guys hacks? Like, why do you guys just simp for your side?
Exactly.
Like, actually go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Right
not a
wing-
journalist. I'm a comedian, and I ask harder questions."
Yeah, right wing
Yeah,
firefighters. Like, someone please explain to me right wing firefighters and right wing veterans, because the people who are fighting for them is the left. The left want to give VA people more benefits. The left was the organization that was fighting for firefighting benefits. So that show the broken brain of the right wing as a whole. Because imagine being a right wing firefighter when your politicians abandon you. Like, this is some bootlicking shit that I would never ever understand in a million years.
That's why I don't see. It frustrates me to see people like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz who have consistently started winning their Senate seats,
Yeah.
and they are actual pieces of shit, literal pieces of shit.
It's because
And they-
so there are people who have the conservative mindset of less government. What, Hamdia?
I think he's speaking to
Go
someone
ahead.
in the background.
Oh, she's like, okay.
Okay.
They're like the conservative mindset, at least when I was a kid. So I know how people love that, that back in the day thing, but I will just say that back in the day, nobody dared ask who you were voting for. There was no such thing as voter shaming because you were not, it was considered rude to even ask who you were going to vote for. It didn't matter what political party, you don't even broach that question.
And that was just like even 10 years.
It was within our lifetime because I remember that.
Now
I remember that
you
growing
better vote for my person. Who are you voting for? But also back in the day, like the conservative mindset wasn't fascist. The conservative platform was less government.
Yeah.
So I can understand how people
and that's how Ted Cruz. That's how Ted Cruz rose. That's how he rose in the Tea Party.
So
was because of that.
So let's end it because I know Jackie wants to talk about Nina, and I didn't get a chance to give it. We almost had 2 hours. I want to cut off at that point. So I'm we all can have a word on this, but I know Jackie wants to speak on this, and I have my take on 2024 as well. So let's end it with that. Like let's end it. The overall theme of this last segment will just be what you see as the future of the progressive movement and who we should kind of coalesce behind. So what do you think about, Jackie?
I don't see anybody other than Nina. Who the hell else is going to get up there and fight for us? There is nobody who is going to fight. And she was the one, she called out Biden. She was like, he corrupt as fuck. And Bernie was like, no, I wouldn't call him corrupt. And she's like, I would. He's corrupt as fuck. Why? Because he's corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
She was the one who called him out and said that he was racist. And he is. And Bernie was like, no, I wouldn't say that. Yes, he's racist. He particularly hates black people. But don't worry, he has room in his heart to hate Latinos and Muslims as well, okay? He can hate everybody, but specifically black people, he's not a big fan, okay? But yeah, I don't see how anybody else can carry the banner because we need somebody who's going to fight.
Yes.
And honestly, I love Bernie. At the same time, the fact that he acquiesced so quickly to the Democratic Party when there was no need, because he's not even a Democrat, he's an independent. So why is he
that's literally
so fast?
That's why
I need a fight.
Makes me so
if
mad.
you're gonna get Medicare for all, if you're gonna get a Green New Deal, if you're gonna get criminal justice reform, you need somebody who's willing to go toe to toe and be like, nah, bitches, we ain't going home till this is done. That is Nina Turner. That is nobody. That's not even AOC. AOC will ask the hard questions and then she goes home. Nina Turner will be like, ain't nobody leaving until this is done.
That's
I don't see who it could possibly be besides.
And that's how she was. That's how she was in Senate. That's how she was in Senate. She was hard. She was hard on them in Ohio. They didn't like her because she was hard. And Hillary before Hillary used to talk a lot of good things about her because she was like, oh, she's the future of the Democratic Party. Hillary said that about Nina Turner.
Yeah.
Like she literally said that about her.
Out of both sides of her mouth.
Nina Turner and Tosi was two people they were trying to bring up.
The fact that she said it though, that's the part that gets
me.
I
remember there was also. Go ahead, Jackie.
In a populist, in a situation where people are anti-government. So you were talking about like conservatives. Conservatives are anti-government. That's why they like Donald Trump. Because his rhetoric is anti-government. They want smaller government because they don't trust the government.
Exactly.
In a situation like that, the only person who can beat a Republican in an overall climate of the government doesn't give a shit about us is somebody who comes out and calls out the government, somebody who's hated by the government. And at first we thought, oh, maybe Bernie Sanders, except there's one thing that hindered him. The fact that he had 40 years in the government. Nina Turner didn't have 40 years in the government. Yep. She has enough experience to know, but she also has enough hatred by those very people.
And also not an old white man.
Yeah,
but you know what? No, but watch neoliberals flip that shit on their head. Because they just use us when they can. Yeah. They tried to pull that just to push their people. Because notice they were silent as hell about Tulsi Gabbard. She's a woman of color. But nobody mentioned her.
And you brought up
they will tell Nina to shut up.
And Savion brought up the fact that Hillary said that Nina Turner was I'll let you speak right after this, Hamdia. But Savion brought up a good point because Hillary and them said that Nina Turner was the future of the party. A lot of people forget. I remember CNN. I forgot it was CNN or New York Times. They were one of those who ran a segment on Tulsi Gabbard in like 2014, where it was like Tulsi Gabbard because that when she was still the DNC vice chair. And it was like Tulsi Gabbard, the future of the Democratic Party. And then Tulsi Gabbard started talking about endless war, and then she quit the DNC to promote Bernie. And now you see what kind of graces that she in. The same thing that happened to Tulsi happened to Nina. And this is what happens when you go against the Democratic Party machine. So
We
go ahead,
unify the party.
go ahead, Hamdi. I'll let you speak, and then I'm gonna give my take on 2024.
I was just saying, I met Tulsi Gabbard
I did
in
too.
what is it, like, I think it was like around November. I literally filmed the question that I asked her. I asked her if she supports Assad, and everybody was just like so mad at me for asking her that question. I'm like, excuse me, it's just a question. Like, I genuinely want to know, because she's never called him a war criminal publicly. So I genuinely wanted to know, and my video like went viral. But I think that Tulsi Gabbard, like, I think it was the right choice for her to drop out. But she had more people supporting her than Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
That's what people forget.
I talked
She
to.
won her state.
And she roasted
She
her
actually
ass.
won Hawaii.
I told.
And she
She
roasted
won
her
her own
ass.
Yeah,
state.
she actually
Exactly.
won. I met Tulsi as well in South Carolina, and this back when because I told people I've always been big Bernie, but I've been supportive of Tulsi even though she made mistakes. Like, people on the left is super
Yeah.
quick on to cancel, but if you look at
Yeah.
Tulsi as a whole, she is definitely to the left of the Democratic Party. So I never understood like there's some
Yeah,
Bernie
she
people
is.
who has a who they have like a super hatred towards Tulsi. I never understood.
That's so weird.
I literally
I don't
never
know what that's
understood it.
about.
I just asked her a question because I really genuinely wanted to know if
Yeah, and I saw a question,
I
and
can understand why some people didn't like her.
yeah, I get it.
because
I get
she
it.
was a bit hypocritical.
I get it, but
Like, for example, she's supposed to be so anti-imperialist, yet she's propping up imperialists. Like, she also never called out Joe Biden.
Yeah, and my response to those,
she could have gone after him.
And she wasn't
And
invited to the DNC. That's messed up.
my response to those people, and the response that Tulsi people always had, is like, yeah, Tulsi, she spoke on ending endless war, but she also had a mixed record. Who does that sound like? That's Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders has a mixed record. So my thing is that, like, I'll always be realistic about Bernie. Like, Bernie is a greater good, and he's anti-imperialist based on his rhetoric. And that literally the same with Tulsi. So you had Bernie supporters that'll talk shit on Tulsi, like, whenever she had a bad vote. But I was like, you know that Bernie voted for Afghanistan too, right? So it's like there was a hypocrisy.
There's bad votes.
So it's like so there's people on the left that will cancel Tulsi for a bad vote, but you're not canceling Bernie.
Yeah.
See, I was consistent.
Well, there's
I
also
was consistent on that.
I mean, Bernie also voted for the crime.
Yeah. So I was
but even though
you understand, I was consistent.
He did filibuster it a little and say, hey, he said, hey, we're going to regret this, but
he still voted for it.
To support it.
Yeah, so
he did vote for, but again, the reason why he voted for it was because Joe Biden specifically did this to make people like Bernie vote for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bernie was trying to get
the women's bad.
Yeah, so
exactly.
don't misunderstand me, guys.
Act. He was trying to get that passed all along. He couldn't get it passed. So Biden was like, okay, I'll put it in the crime bill. Now you have to vote for the crime bill.
So
let's throw it in my bill. Let's throw it in my bill.
So don't.
And that's as you said, Bernie voted for it, but under protest.
So don't
only voted for it specifically because his bill was his act was part of it.
So don't misunderstand me, guys.
Yeah, the Defense Against Women. Defense Against Women Act.
Yeah. Don't misunderstand. Don't misunderstand me, guys. Because once again, I'm consistent on this because I'm looking at these figures like who's a net positive for our movement.
Well,
and Bernie. So my thing was, I'm like, if you're gonna cancel Tulsi for a vote, you have to cancel Bernie for whenever he had bad vote. That was what I always said about. But at the same time, I was a heavy Bernie supporter because I think Bernie was a better overall net positive than Tulsi. If you look at the entire picture,
is, Tulsi had more. If you do opposition research, Tulsi had more skeletons in her closet.
Yes, she did. I'm not gonna apologize for that.
She had more issues than Bernie.
But I think
even like when you go to Bernie and you look at his bad record, the things that he voted horribly on, usually there was a reason why he did it, like with the crime bill. But with Tulsi, she came out originally against gays, like
she still had 100%. She still had 100%. Like, cause there was a lot of things that was said about Tulsi.
But let's also talk about what the Dems used too. Let's talk about what they did, because the Democrats put all of those fucking barriers in between to stop Tulsi and to stop a lot of the other people, like Cory Booker and like Tulsi, where they put in, you had to have this many donors or you had to have all this. Like, That's bullshit.
They were
should
straight,
we
trying to stop Tulsi because in the last debate,
they were.
it was like, okay, Tulsi qualified because they said, originally you just had to have 2 delegates, and she got 2 delegates, and they were like, okay, now 4 because she had 2, but she didn't have 4.
Exactly.
And they were like, okay,
Exactly.
So we can talk about the
like specifically
goalposts. They were moving the goalposts.
So we can talk about the difference between Bernie and
George
Tulsi for a while. But
Julian Castro, they were just casualties, but they were aiming for Tulsi. They were like, okay, so we lose like Yang and all them. They don't really care. They didn't really pay attention, but they were specifically trying to knock out Tulsi.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. And once again, I don't mean cut the conversation off short, but we can go over like the difference between Tulsi and Bernie and whether the criticism of her was legit or not. I think a lot of them was, but can we all agree that Tulsi was the second further left in the race? Because I saw one comment on my YouTube live that talking about how Tulsi abandoned Medicare for all, which I had a big criticism of her for not signing on Bernie. But if you actually looked at her bill, it was the Australian style. So she didn't back away from single payer. She just took a different approach, which once again I have a criticism of. I think we should have fell in line with one bill. But so can I end it with do you guys at least agree that she was the second furthest left in the race, and that's why they got rid of her? Can we agree on that?
I think they got rid of her because she called out the queen bee of the DNC.
Yeah, I think they just had a hard on to get her out of there. I'll say my final thoughts. I'll say my final thoughts on 2020. I'll say I think Tulsi was. I mean, anytime you take an anti-imperialist stance, you're going to piss off the establishment as a whole, right? But I will say, I think this is like the fundamental flaw with the DNC going after these Republican voters, right? Is that they don't understand that Republicans don't like them for a reason. And that's why they're Republicans. They don't understand that they're culturally and diametrically opposed to neoliberalism. They would rather have Donald Trump in there and all of his foolishness than they would Hillary Clinton. And you need to understand, they made the choice in 2016. They made it obvious in 2016. So why would you think repeating this after, say for the last 6 months, the Donald Trump presidency for conservatives and for independents, for the white suburban class, they've been doing great. Save for this pandemic and a small economic downturn that's now pretty much recovered because in terms of how they measure it, because the Dow is back where it was. I mean, we're not going to talk about the working class unemployment and stuff like that, but save for their worldview, everything's fine. So they don't understand that Republicans are Republicans for a reason, and it's not because the same silly reasons that neoliberals are neoliberals. It's not because we want these sort of like culturally suave people who put on suits and do the right things. That's the reason. That's the only reason neoliberals are neoliberals is because they want all the same things as conservatives, save for like maybe gay marriage and abortion, right? But economically, socioeconomically, how we, class wise.
How often do they attack Trump on economic issues? How often
never. You've never once heard a CNN or well look, the Dow's at 26,000. what's the
they literally concede the point to him. Like I remember there was an answer, there was a question in one of the Democratic debates that didn't get enough attention, where they asked Amy Klobuchar and she handled the question horribly because she bought into the frame, and they was like, "How are Democrats gonna run against Trump in this good economy?" What? Like they literally, and then Klobuchar like, I know the economy is good, but we can bitch, you guys are literally conceding the point that there's a good economy under Trump.
Exactly.
I think Bernie was the only one who actually answered that well. He was like, the economy is not good for everybody. He was the only one that
the only person to say that. So
But go ahead, Nick. I interrupted you, Lyles. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I was just saying. I'll finish up. But I don't think Democrats understand that, and that's the reason why November is going to be such a failure. It's because
they understand that. They don't give a shit. They have figured out how to make money off of resisting, and they don't care if they win. They just couldn't have it be Bernie.
So
the resistance grip.
So I'm finally gonna get my thoughts on 2024, and I'll get you guys' thoughts on that, and then we can wrap up here. So obviously, I've been vocal on Twitter that I was heavily supporting Nina Turner turning 2024. But we need, as a progressive movement, we need to game plan differently. And what I mean by this, because we've been through 2 election cycles already. In 2016, we were shocked, and then we learned what happened via WikiLeaks on how they rigged that primary. And then 2020, we came a little bit more prepared, but we still couldn't stop it. So we as a movement, we need to come together. And I talked about that a little bit in my last podcast with Erica and Savvy. It's like we need to start have watchers. We need to come together as a movement and find a way to them stop them bringing this primary. And that's why I'm not supportive of voting for Joe Biden, because if you vote for Joe Biden, you give the Democratic Party permission to rig the primary. They're gonna enthusiastically rig the primary against Tina Turner, because Bernie Sanders, at the end of the day, I love the guy, but he was a team player. Bernie Sanders was great for the Democratic Party, but look how much they hate him. Imagine how badly they're going to rig.
She can't run as a Democrat.
Imagine
it doesn't matter what she does. They're not going to let her get it.
Yeah.
She has to run third party.
So my thing is, and I've been talking to this guy named Mitch. He started an organization about getting ranked choice voting in, and I made a tweet about this earlier today. Our biggest priority as the left wing right now should be ranked choice voting. I'll put that even above Medicare for all, because we're not getting Medicare for all without ranked choice voting. It's not gonna fucking happen. So we need ranked choice voting in the primary. We need ranked choice voting right now, so progressive leaders can win in 2022, 2024. So that should be our primary goal. And in terms of 2024, I'm behind Nina Turner. I think she's the most effective communicator. Regarding AOC, I don't understand people who saying that she should run for president in 2024. If she can't win a Senate race against Chuck Schumer, she's not going to win the presidential race anyway. So I think AOC should focus on primary and Chuck Schumer. If she wins that primary, then we can aim for 30-32 or 30-20 or 2028, depending who wins in 2024. But so that's why I think in regarding the AOC situation, and I think we should kind of. I also like in terms of like I think we also fall in line on Nina Turner, and I seen some people bring like Andrew Yang. I wholeheartedly reject Andrew Yang, because Andrew Yang has been weak on Julian Assange. He's been weak on
Andrew Yang
issues.
Is trash.
And like I don't understand. Like Cal Kalinske just came out and said that he will support him and wanted to go. I'm like, hell no, bro. What the fuck are you talking about? So no Andrew Yang. But honestly, the ticket I would love to see is Nina Turner versus Marianne Williamson, because Marianne Williamson, even though she's I dislike the fact that she kind of advocating for Biden, but if you actually look at the kind of stuff she talk about and her advocacy, she's heavy, like she has improved significantly, leaps and bounds. Like she's
no one has had better talks on reparations than Marianne.
Here's the thing, though.
Go ahead, Jackie. I want to hear what you thinking, Jackie. What are you thinking?
Okay, so I know I live in California, Fantasyland, but out here, she's seen as like a spiritual guru, and so when you talk about Marianne Williamson, people think of like crystals and anti-vaxxers. So she's not very popular as far as voting. She's popular as far as like, you know, yoga people who want to like open their chakras, but she's not like that's how people see her. So I don't see her like really getting a political foothold. As far as AOC, she's still a bit young, but the problem is she is very popular with certain people, but she is also as popular as she is with a certain group of people, she is hated by another group of people.
And AOC made a big mistake. AOC made a technical mistake. Sorry, I'll let you finish here soon, Jacqueline, because this is a mistake I saw AOC make. She didn't necessarily follow the footsteps of Bernie Sanders, because a lot of people saw AOC as like the passing of the torch. But AOC made a big mistake because she leaned a little bit more into the social culture war issues instead of the economic populism issues. If AOC focused, because Bernie Sanders, he don't play that culture war shit. Like when Bernie Sanders speaks, he literally only about economic populism, and that's why Bernie Sanders has support from independents and right-leaning independents, because he focuses on that. AOC is seen among the white community and seen on the right wing as kind of a social justice warrior. Even though if you look at her politics, she's economically popular, just like Bernie Sanders. But she made the technical mistake of leaning into like the Democratic Party talking point. Like she will follow like Nancy Pelosi when she had her talking points, and she leaned into the side that alienated the white working class. Even though we may not like to hear it, a lot of stances and a lot of the way she talks, she alienated that class, would hurt her electability. That's why I want to see if she can beat Chuck Schumer in the Senate race, and I want to see her make that adjustment of being on the national level, because you can do that social issue Democratic Party talking points if you're running in New York, because you're safe and you're blue. Yeah. But when you're talking about on a state level, when more reds in New York are voting, when you talk about on a national level, how successful will that really be? So I want to see AOC make that adjustment before we elevate her to president. But I interrupted you, Jackie. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Honestly, for a leftist to win, I agree with Kyle Kulinski on this because he talked about his thoughts on Nina Turner presidency, and I agree with him 100%. Just like what you were saying, you can't alienate white people. Okay, so if you lean in too much to the identity politics, you're going to alienate too much of the voting population, and you're not going to win. In order for a leftist to win, no matter what they look like or what they are, you have to. You can have the policy on social issues, but you have to lean into the economics because that's how you get everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I think. So with Nina Turner, I think that a better person for her to have as a running mate, believe it or not, would be Tulsi.
I agree. I like that.
I can see that. I
like the choice, but once again, I'm a little bit sympathetic for Tulsi. But I'm gonna cut it off there, guys. And because we like 2 hours and 3 minutes. And I told you guys,
we're like 2:15, man. We've been going, man.
We can
this has been a good one.
Yeah, we can talk forever, man. Like I feel like we can riff. Eventually, I got to put my foot down. So we do this weekly anyway. We talk some more, and I appreciate Hamdia dropping by.
I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead, Sabian. I'll give you last voice. I'll give you last.
Follow Socialist MMA on Twitter. Follow Nick Lyles Comedy on Twitter.
Hey,
make sure you follow Jackie. Do you want me to say your Rose Against podcast, right? On Twitter.
Here it's Rose Against Pod.
Rose Against
Pod.
Yeah, Rose Against Pod on Twitter. At Sabian on Twitter. Make sure you follow Hamdia. Hamdia,
are you there? You got anything you want to say before we leave off here? I want to give Hamdia the last word if she's still there.
What did you say?
Hey, do you got anything you want to plug or anything you want to say? Do you got anything you want to say before we log off?
Well, I just want to say I appreciate all of you for having me.
No, you're always welcome.
We need to have more conversations like this. It's very important. So, I appreciate all of you, and thank you so much for inviting me to this. What I want to say is, all of our Twitter handles are on here, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the description.
Yeah,
as well.
I just followed you, Hamdia. So
mine is Hamdia_Ahmed. I'll follow all of you. But yeah, let's continue this conversation.
Yeah, and you're always welcome. Like
also Twitch. Don't forget Twitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I have all y'all information in the description. Because I'm gonna end it with this. Cause I always do. Because one reason, like Sabian will tell you, I've been talking about this idea of having black leftists come together ever since like early spring. Like because this is something that's been on my mind. And that's why I always say you're always invited, Hamdia. You guys are always welcome to come on every Friday. You never know. There might be a Friday where I'm not be able to make it. If I'm not able to make it, you guys can easily stream it and put it on one of your guys' YouTube. I don't care. Like it's not about me. Like I've been gifted this platform. My goal is to pass the microphone to my people so we can have voices. Yes. So we don't grow each other. We don't grow each other channels. We grow each other pages. And this is the solidarity I think was missing out of the black boomers. I think they were a little bit more. I think they were too hyper individualistic. While I think our generation, we need to come together and we got to figure out how to make this black community fucking work. Because if you look at other communities, you look at the Asian community, they are a tight knit group where they have each other back no matter what the fuck happens. I think we need to adopt that kind of mindset, and that's why I want to put us all together. So every week we'll come together. We're gonna have these conversations, and hell, we've been handicapped by COVID, but once COVID ends, I can easily see black leftists like us meeting up and having big like protests and demonstrations. Like this is just a start. Like this is just the start of what we plan on doing. Cause me and Hamdia said we're gonna build a movement, and this is where it starts. So I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. I'm in it with that. Thank you guys for checking me out.